Hello, everyone. It is time to mourn, or maybe if you love to see NA
in my case,
struggle,
celebrate.
it's time to celebrate. As
It's not because
history's
it's
been
NA.
made.
It's because 100 frauds are frauds, and they deserve what they get.
Yeah, it's not good for North
Well-
American fans. For North American fans, it's not good, Monty. Anyways, newest episode of Power Spike here. Play-ins done. History made by North America in the bad way. Welcome to the Swiss stage for the first time, CBLOL, because there's only been, two Swiss stages. dGon, Monty, and Dom here to break it all down for you. Mad Lions, shutting up some haters. It was good. I mean, the quality wasn't great, but Worlds is here, Dom. How did you feel, co-stream and everything?
You mean the qualifier for Worlds is here?
Yeah.
They started playing the theme song. They had all the stingers. They had all the graphics. They had a draw. Like, it's here.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's it's weird, right? I have a weird sentiment because I really want North America to do well, right? I really want them to do well. But then when they do poorly, like, I benefit from that. Like, people just come to my stream to watch me flame 100 Thieves after they lose because I just don't take the losses very well. So it's like this weird dynamic where it's like what do I want to actually have happen? Do I want to have like a good career or do I want to be happy? You know, like, can't have both. So figure it out.
That's all right.
You
You can take both. I think FlyQuest and Team Liquid will still do fine at this event, so you can be sad temporarily and be happy when those two teams do well down the line.
Hopefully. Yeah, hopefully I don't just get completely embarrassed by supporting these teams the entire year. No way that happens.
Ayla 70th. Did he live up to that for you, Dom?
I mean, I actually moved him down live on the stream. So I had him. So I ranked every single player going into Worlds.
Yeah.
And and it was just from the major regions, the one that I watched like every single game of, right? So it's like 1 to 70. And I had Ayla slotted in before I even did anything, before I even figured out like, you know, the 1 to 14 in each role, because that was the easiest way to do it. You do 1 to 14 in each role, and then you just look at like the bottom player, and then you just rank them against each other, right? And I had Ayla at 70th before I even ranked anything. Like, that was the first thing. I didn't even do the supports. I was just like, Ayla is the worst player going to Worlds. Boom. Put him there. During the stream, I watched him rel flash like on top of himself into the enemy team. And
then he missed every skill in the next in the next team fight.
Yeah, and then I moved him to 71 from 70. So now I have 1 to
Hello,
69
Reckless,
rated.
of course, right? The substitute support player of T1.
No, I just have an empty spot. I refuse to acknowledge that subs exist. So it's like, it's literally 1 to 69. 70 is now empty. That's for the taking. And then Ayla is now 71st on my rankings.
We can't agree that he is a worse support player than Reckless, the substitute player for T1, though, right? We can all agree on that.
I have no idea. I haven't watched Reckless at all.
His KDA is pretty crazy, I've heard. That was the meme.
Which is like,
yes.
Yeah, exactly. People always say that, and then that's like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Do I want to support with a really high KDA playing fucking Nautilus? Like, is that what I want? Like, I don't know, bro. I kind of fuck with the 0-8 Nautilus that's getting shit done, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, 100 Thieves don't get it done there. Let's see. What else? Rainbow 7 getting the victory against them and then falling. What was it like seeing some of these names that you haven't seen for a while, like a Summit back on the global stage? Audi for LATAM, some of the PSG players now stepping back on in. What was that like seeing some of the Evie again, Dom, the inevitable back?
Yep. He came up, he showed up again, he went 0-4, and then we have to like pretend that because he's a nice guy, he's also good at League of Legends. Like, I love having to do that every single year.
Yep. Yep. What about Summit?
I mean, Summit is still the same. Like, you know, the thing about all these players that have been playing for a while, like Evie and Summit, is they're so stuck in their own ways that you don't watch them for a year, and then they come back, and you see them play, and they have literally the same exact flaws as they've always had. Summit is still getting caught in side lane. Evie still has like his inability to like understand when to group and when to like actually push a side wave. He just ends up down CS as a result. Like, Summit still has his good laning. It's like you don't even need to keep up with how they evolve because they just don't evolve. They just stay the same forever. But they play in weaker regions sometimes, and then they actually get to look better. Nice.
You know what I enjoyed was that instead of Summit trolling his LCS teammates at an important event like Worlds or LCS playoffs, Instead, Audi was trolling Summit by completely running it down. So I enjoyed the reversal of fortune.
That's not where I thought you were going with it, Monty. I thought you were going with the Summit and Maple angle, where they already let down NA once before, and so they're just used to doing that.
I love Maple. Maple's great.
Yes, me too. But I wanted 100 Thieves to win. I guess if I cared more, and if I care more about the quality of league, PSG for sure should go through. Just Rivers just stuck on this team, and
look,
but like I wanted them to win.
I personally love Maple. Not only did he have he's had a spectacular, like, decade-long career at this point in time, dGon, but he came to NA, destroyed TSM from within, took their money. They left League of Legends, never to come back. And then he goes to PSG Talent and he kills those fucking frauds at 100 Thieves. Maple is my hero, dGon.
Nice. Okay. All right.
Nice.
That's actually a nice angle. Let's see. When it comes to the meta now, I'm just getting a little bit more serious about it. Mid lane had a bunch of different types of picks. Syndra now like skyrocketing in priority here. What were some of the picks that jumped out at you? Let's start with you, Monty. Some of the picks that jumped out at you that were prevalent here in plans, and whether you think it's going to be that moving forward in the Swiss stage.
I was surprised to see a couple games of Vex. I mean, Vex has like been fringe meta, but I don't think Vex is very good. So I'm intrigued to see if that goes anywhere. I actually am
because of the
enjoying
Vex players that you're watching. You're watching fucking Quid play
Not
Vex
Knight.
and go 0-10. Yeah, if Knight look,
Knight's
Knight
good
was
at
playing Vex when Vex was like was really bad into like Corki and stuff. But if you give a player that's competent a good Vex angle like that, and they don't go 0-10, like the pick isn't. I hate when people pretend like champions just have no value ever, where it's like Vex into a ton of fucking dashes and into a matchup that's good in mid lane, where you also have target CC to guarantee your ulti in fights. It is just a good champion, right? Like it is just good in those spots. And just because the player sucks at Vex and runs it down mercilessly the entire game doesn't suddenly mean that it's like, well, yeah, I mean, they just picked Vex and like Vex is just fucking worthless as a result. So I feel like it is there's too much of like leeway given to players sometimes. Like I've seen it from just fans, about 100 Thieves in general, but then also players when they run it down on champions, like people, if it's a new champion, people just blame the champion as if the player has zero agency, as if the champion just goes in there and just controls itself and like does whatever it wants to do in the game.
Since that's actually how it works now, Dom, because I don't know if you realize this, but they actually retconned the summoner lore, so you're not actually the wizard controlling the champion anymore.
True. There are no longer summoners, like which was just like one of the most embarrassing parts of like League of Legends. Like, if you actually had to explain that to somebody, it's like, no, I am this like fucking acolyte dude wearing a cape. That's what I am.
That's me.
Like,
that's me.
I can't even pretend to be the fucking champion. Nice.
They deleted the summoners, but they kept the summoner look in LEC intros when they decided to just put a bunch of fans in hoods next to a white car.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Jesus. They couldn't do that in NA. It would come off differently if they had a bunch of fans in hoods. So.
I'll tell you a story on that front. And no, it's not going where you guys think it's going.
Again, I don't know where I thought it was going.
Yamato, tell us how your experience was with a bunch of fans in hoods.
No, it's not going. It's kind of going where you think it's going.
Jesus.
So
okay,
this is actually a very hilarious story, guys. So I don't know if you remember this, but in the very, very early days of Champions, I think it was either 2013 or 2014. So dGon may be familiar with these snacks now in Korea called kokalkon, which are basically bugles. Okay.
KKK Kokalkon?
Yes,
okay.
sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
So basically, it gets better, Dom. So basically, it gets anglicized to kokalkon, all spelled with K's. So they sponsored an entire season of Champions. So we were literally like, it was like kokalkon Champions Spring or something like that. Okay. So it was already like super shaky that we were the KKK champions, like OGN tournament. So Dola and I come to the studio one day, and sitting on our casting desk. So they're bugles, right? And what shape are
what the fuck
shape
is going on?
What shape are bugles? What shape are bugles?
No, they're that. Oh my god, ain't no way you had a bugle hat. Shit.
You guys can actually find this on the internet. Somebody will probably link it below. So we come to the studio one day, and as a sponsor activation, sitting on Doa and my casting desk are white cone hats.
Oh no.
And so they were like, hey, can you put these white cone hats on? And we're like, we're white. We definitely cannot do that. And we explained to them the problem of us wearing white cone hats at the KKK Champions Tournament. And they said, oh, okay, so you don't have to wear them. But they also distributed them to the crowd. So there are literally like camera crowd shots of like the entire Korean crowd in white cone hats for the KKK Champions Tournament. It's not great.
God damn. God, there are so many jokes that you could make, but like Jesus, all of them are way too fucking dangerous. We just have to move on.
And the Korean casters had them on, but we were the only people who didn't. So you can actually, guys, I'm sure somebody will like timestamp it below, but you can still find those crowd shots from that tournament on that day of like a jib cam flying over the top and just like the entire audience in like white cone hats. And Dom, you know what I did? I took that cone hat home and I still have it.
All right. Hopefully. Okay. Yeah. Nice.
Just in case, Monty. I don't know. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
It's a hilarious piece
just
of
in case
esports
he becomes a
memorabilia.
racist. Like, what the fuck? What was the just in case? dGon? What the hell is the just in case?
I don't
do you
know.
think?
I don't
What do
know
you
what
think
it's like to be white. I don't know.
Do you think I have some sort of like emergency glass box that I just break in case I need some racism? Like what?
Yeah, like what the fuck?
No. It's because you do such great skits and you have such great outfits. I could see you like doing a deep cut parody or something. Monty going deep into the Mind Palace.
White people just have in their houses, like they have their emergency racism kit. Nice.
No, I'm on your team. No.
Jesus, man. How many ad reads do we have this show? Like
one. Just one.
Just one? Okay. All right. So we'll only lose one sponsor over the course of the show. Perfect. Excellent.
All right. This was such a deep cut. I actually don't. I'm so good at remembering where we were. I don't remember where we were before all this happened. All right. Brazil makes it on in. Pain Gaming. So time to cash in. So bom dia, meus amigos, to the Swiss stage. Dom had his Nostradamus pick. He said that Pain Gaming weren't going to be able to make it on through.
Well, I said no. I said they would lose their first match. What happened to dGon? Is he DC'd? Okay.
Nice. There we go. I'm back. Through the fiesta of Latam. But they made it through. What did you make of Pain Gaming making it on into the Swiss stage?
Wait, wasn't the prediction just that they were going to lose to PSG, or did I say they weren't going to make it?
Well, I'm not sure actually. The prediction was definitely they were going to lose to PSG. But I can go check. I can go check right now.
Okay, let's check because I want to make sure I didn't, because I look, if I knew they were going to have to play fucking R7, I would have taken them over R7 any day. Actually, I did take them over R7 before they played. But PSG, I think, is too hard for them. They did play better than expected, though, versus PSG. But also, I think PSG, outside of when they shit on 100 Thieves, they looked way worse than what people had been hyping up, at least from what I had heard. Because the macro looked sus, and PSG threw a bunch of games, like the series versus Mad Lions was really ugly. Taking a bunch of random fights. I think Junjia specifically looked really bad, where he's the player that most people are hyping up because he's won.
It felt like they had some weird meta reads too coming into this event.
I mean, in terms of what, like,
let me pull up some of their drafts.
Because I feel like a lot of the things they picked are just like they picked good champions. They just ran it down when they played them. Like the Skarner pick, for example, that everyone was like, people shouldn't pick Skarner. Look, I told 100 Thieves before the match they needed to ban Skarner. I said it on my stream. I did the prep. I'm like, I know he ran it down last time. The champion is broken and we don't play it. Ban fucking Skarner. I said it. And then they just don't listen to me, bro. What the fuck am I? Like, I don't know. What am I doing this draft prep for? It's fucking better than the draft shit that you fucking put on the broadcast. So might as well just listen to me at this point. Then you'll have a scapegoat. You can just blame the streamer. You know, it's fine. Like, I don't know. Skarner ban should have came through. I don't like PSG has just been like they've not been great, but they've definitely like showed why they could be good, I guess. Like you can see if they just don't turbo int some of the advantages they have. Like Aji looks like a good top laner. He has the ability to pick a lot of counter picks. Junjia does play the game theoretically in like a good way. It's just that he has these big mistakes that I'm not sure if he'll be making going forward. But overall, I can see the strength of PSG. I mean, you could really see it versus 100 Thieves, but there still has just been issues with individual performance. And then in terms of what dGon asked about what new picks have we seen, like what picks have we seen that have been interesting? For me, I would say like the Aurora top seems really good in plans. I don't know how much we'll see it in the next stages. Does this champion just completely dick all these top laners, or when the better top laners start playing, are they going to be able to, lane easily into it? I think that's something that we need to see. Aurora top. I thought Skarner was going to be really good coming into this tournament. I'm obviously biased because I've been playing it a lot in solo queue, but I just think the champion.
Well, it was popping up pretty significantly in like LCK as well. Like obviously, like Canyon's been playing it for quite some time.
Yeah, and
it's been leaking into the other regions too in the regionals.
Well, it
got nerfed.
It was, but it got disabled for a little bit. So actually, I was going to go the opposite way. There was a period when it was out where
I think he's talking about
Skarner. Really strong.
No, Skarner.
Skarner. I thought you were talking about Aurora. Aurora is interesting to me just because I wonder if LCK teams was it disabled for LPL?
It was disabled everywhere.
It was globally. Everywhere.
So I just wonder if they have practiced it or they're just going to be like, no, we didn't play with it for months or a month. And yes, we had some time, but we've been trying to figure out what the other meta stuff is, and we don't play it from the LCK squads, or if they're going to play into it. Sorry, I didn't mean to dive away from this.
I think that Aurora is the type of champion where it just provides way too much for a pro game. Like it essentially, I mean, if you think about what type of tools are good for pro games, it has a fucking essentially AoE like Giga Jarvan ult that just locks people in place, and it just fucks over so many different types of champions. Right,
and you can actually just escape ganks with it too by placing it over walls and then just walking out of it, right? So
yeah. Which we saw Quid do into the enemy team multiple times when he played Aurora, which would have beat R7 if he just didn't do that. They probably beat R7, and then they get a win versus Pain. They could have made it out of groups, but that's neither here nor there. We don't need to really go into how disgraceful 100 Thieves were. Actually, we do. So
we can take a deeper dive into it in a little bit. We can take a deeper dive into it a little bit. Let's finish on the meta talk here first.
Yeah, I think the Aurora pick. So the Skarner pick. One thing I was going to say about it was that it was starting to pop up even before like LCK was playing. So LCK was on 14-16 for their playoffs. LPL was on 14-15 because the LPL playoffs obviously started like significantly earlier.
Yeah,
and because of that, we saw Skarner start popping up like Kanavi was playing it. And this was before Skarner got buffed. And then Skarner just ended up getting buffed where it was already good. Other things got nerfed. And that, as a result, just means that Skarner is better and better, right? Like Maokai got nerfed. Sejuani kind of escaped nerfs, but Skarner is good into that. I feel like this champion is just going to be really high prio. Like pick or ban. First pick blue side or ban throughout the tournament because there's nothing that really counters it. Like normally champions will have something that's really bad to play into. I don't know if somebody's going to be willing to play an Olaf or something like that. But this Skarner pick just seems so abusive because of the items that it builds. Like the items just seem so broken on this type of champion. You just have so much effective HP. The Grasp Sterax build that people are going, I like that one better than the Zeke's build that other people are doing. But I feel like a lot of the Skarner players that we've seen are actually just bad at Skarner. Like if you watched Elyoya Skarner in the Mad Lions game, he does this gank where the way Skarner works, right, is you pick up the rock, and then when you have the boulder, there's a timer before it expires. But when you E, the timer elongates, right? So you can pick up a rock, and then you can E, and then you have the rock the entire time. So when Elyoya was playing, he would like pick up the rock, E, and then he has like, and just for the record, the cooldown starts when you first pick up the rock, right? So the way you want to combo with Skarner is you want to pick up the rock, wait, E on them, then you start autoing. Every time you auto, it resets like the timer. And then you just pick up another rock and you just beat them over the head, right? He would pick up a rock, E, and then he wouldn't even throw it for some reason before it expired. And then he would pick up another rock and then he would ult. But when you ult, the timer of the rock goes down. The boulder, like, it starts expiring. So if you pick up a rock and then you ult, then when you're done with the ult, your rock is expired. So he was doing ganks where he like wasn't getting off any of the damage the champion has. So being able to go over walls is broken. The amount of tankiness the champion has is broken. Having multiple slows is broken. Having approach velocity. Some people weren't taking approach velocity. They take Cosmic Insight instead. I think that's trash, by the way. I think approach velocity is way better on the champion because you're going to buy CDR boots and stuff like that as well. And you have multiple slows, right? Like your big rock, when you throw it, it slows them, lets you get into range. Your W slows, that helps you get into range. Your approach velocity works, smite, whatever. So we haven't even seen people optimize the champion, is my point. And it's already being effective. So what's it going to look like when people actually are playing the champion well? And also, we have people that are just much better at Skarner. Like Canyon is probably the best Skarner player in the tournament. And, you know, he was playing it well. And now he's going to have even more time on it. And a lot of people just don't have the ability to play the champion or haven't learned the champion to the same degree he has.
If you're also not getting your autos off or not using those autos on the rock, you're not stacking his passive, which also does quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, it does insane damage. Like
especially
people don't even
high HP tanks. It does percent maximum health. So
and it stacks up to 3 times. And it, like, I mean, that's part of the way people don't even clear their jungle properly because they're not taking into account how long the passive is hitting people. Also, like when you're walking past your camps, like you can leave them earlier because the pet will be resetting on top of the passive. So there's ways you can optimize the clear of the champion as well, especially if you're doing the things like I'm talking about where you pick up the rock on your way to the camp, then you E, and then right as you hit the camp, you get 3 autos, pick up a rock, get 3 more autos. That is like burst damage on your camp. So my whole point is there's a lot of better Skarner play that can happen in the future. And the better junglers they just understand this stuff more than the Plains junglers, and they'll just be better at the champion.
To your point too, Skarner's already the most banned champion in Worlds, like 17 bans. The next one is Yone with 14. So we're already seeing that.
Yeah, and it's gonna be, and this is not even the full potential of the champion.
Sure.
I think the other one that got hit by nerfs that we were just seeing constantly getting picked during playoffs. I was going to go with Maokai. I guess Ivern and Maokai, the trees, right?
Yeah.
Are you surprised that the priority in both those dropped super hard?
I'm surprised by the Ivern nerfs. Like the Ivern nerfs, they're not nothing, right?
Right.
But I thought that Ivern was broken enough that you could still pick it. I'd be surprised if no one picks it anymore. Because if you look at like what the nerf was on 14-18, the base shield was reduced by 10 at max rank. It was by every rank, but at max rank it's reduced by 10 at every single rank. And the slow was reduced by 5% at every rank. And I just thought the champion was so broken that I'm not sure if that's the thing that makes it completely irrelevant. I feel like you could still pick this champion in good spots for it. And especially if we're getting like down to 4 or 5 and stuff like this. And I think that in general, Skarner cucks a lot of the bruiser champions that we might see. So like into Jarvan and things like this, or if people are blinding Wukong all the time, like part of the reason why people dropped Wukong is because playing into mage junglers or like tank junglers was just brutal. Like you didn't have the item that you could use to get through them anymore, which used to be Divine Sunder. That would give you enough healing and enough like percentage damage that you would completely like destroy a tank in a combo. Now you have to build Sundered Sky. You pretty much aren't strong until you have Sundered Sky and Cleaver, and you're still not as strong as you were when you had Divine Sunder.
Yeah.
So I would think that in general, if people are high prioing Wukong, which we're seeing way too much Wukong prio, I just want to throw that out there. The Wukong prio 1-2 red side, it's a fucking horrible pick. 1-2 red side. This is not a champion. This is a champion that you use as a counter to something like Vi. They early pick a Vi or they pick Viego or something, and you have a really good Wukong game. They have a lot of AD, whatever. Immobile champions, this type of stuff. Then you slot in the Wukong. Picking the Wukong 1-2, which we saw like Gam do, that is fake as fuck. And you're getting exposed if you do that in the next stage.
What are the top from play-ins, and I guess I'll save it for later. I think that's a lot of meta talk there. So just kind of wrapping up just the uniqueness of this play-ins. 12 champions for top lane, 14 and 14 for jungle and mid. That was what we wanted to see, a little bit more diversity there in those lanes, and then 12 and 11 for AD carry and support. Do you feel like the changes in the meta were enough to at least change up, or the changes in the patch were enough to change the world's meta for this play-in stage and beyond?
You take this one, Monty.
I mean, look, I think Maokai is still going to be very viable. Like the sapling nerfs that he got hit with, like, are not insignificant, but he also still just does all of the things that pro teams want Maokai to do. Like, the problem with Maokai, I think, is just fundamentally his kit, like his ult, and the fact that he grants the vision, and the fact that he has targeted CC. So I think we'll probably see more Maokai play, especially by some of the very good Maokai players that are going to be coming in, or the teams that have relied on tank or CC junglers, like notably Gen G, right? They have been very, sure, we got to see the AP showcase of Canyon, but like, I don't think they're going to be backing down from, Canyon being Skarner, Sejuani, Maokai. Like, that's still going to be a core part of their identity coming into this tournament. And I don't think there's really a reason to believe otherwise. As far as the meta goes, like, we're still seeing quite a few Ziggs bans, even though his fast push was nerfed. And we're still seeing, Ziggs picks and Tristana picks. But for me, I think, look, these are bad teams playing, so we're not really going to know until teams that are actually super good at fast pushing start to get a hold of these champions. But the hope is that we're not in a scenario any longer where you can completely just dominate the side lanes with Ziggs and Tristana and push for super fast objectives. That's my hope, at least, because I think that was getting pretty fucking old by the end of summer.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much it will really matter when I think about how Ziggs functions. Like, the time where I see it really changing, where it would be like when you would get that really good trade, or if you would gank bot lane around like level 7, level 8, and they would just, because like they would chunk you out, or they would kill you, whatever, the Ziggs would take the whole turret. Maybe now you don't take the whole turret anymore, but I think a lot of the things that are fundamentally strong about Ziggs still remain.
You're probably
so, like,
right.
The fact that you can,
you're not.
The fact that you can swap for grubs, right? And you could break TP, you can lane into a lot of different matchups. You can also free up your support pick, because a lot of times with Ziggs kind of like 1v2s the lane. It's similar to Jhin in this regard, where you can play things like Rakan. You don't need to play so hard for the lane, where a lot of AD carries will need a certain type of support in order to function. Like, if you're playing Kai'Sa, you need a Nautilus, or you need a Leona, pretty much, because the CC applies to stacks, whatever. I don't think you need to pick around a Ziggs as much, and it allows some of the supports to be more free with their picks. We've seen even people pick Bard and shit, which I don't think Ziggs Bard is a good lane, but it's like it allows you to do it if the Bard needs to leave lane perma and you're like 2v1ing and stuff like this. So I think that the Ziggs still does what you want a Ziggs to do. It frees up your picks. You still will fast push. Just because you lost half of the damage from your passive doesn't mean that you don't push faster than most AD carries, right? Like, most AD carries just don't do any of the extra damage to turrets, right? So you still are going to be doing a lot of damage to turrets, and then the execute to turrets still exists as well, where you can drop a Herald mid, and you can, put the Herald mid, like drive the Herald into mid and a satchel, and the turret's fucking gone pretty much. So I think that the pick will still be good. I mean, I just don't think that change takes the champion from being B1 best pick in the game to being not viable at all. I think it will still be something that a lot of people play. Plus, we have pretty good Ziggs players coming up in this tournament. Like pretty much, even though Guma was not good at Ziggs originally, I think he got better throughout LCK playoffs and regionals, where he's a fine Ziggs player. Like, the problem with him being on Ziggs is just that he's not playing something else. It's just, you wish that he was playing something else in a lot of the games, but he's fine at it. Pays is good at Ziggs.
Hayes is very good at Ziggs.
Aiming is like whatever at Ziggs. I'd say he probably suffers the most from playing something like Ziggs.
I don't know, but like, I thought aiming Ziggs play was quite surprising, because he was able to use Satchel Charge so successfully as an engage tool in some of their later games. So aiming was better at it than I thought he would be.
I think it goes to the rank of the teams. That's that's the order of the Ziggs play.
And Viper is really good.
I might say Pays is even better than Viper at Ziggs, to be honest. Like I think that
I think I agree with that.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Well,
No,
I mean, it depends on your ranking, but like,
Aiming was surprisingly adept at it. It doesn't really feel like an aiming champion, but he impressed me with what he was. He plays it differently than a lot of other people do because he plays more aggressively with the satchel. So
yeah, which is something that like Gala does as well. Gala's like a pretty aggressive Ziggs player where you can play Ziggs to just even farm the lane, but you can also play Ziggs to throw a satchel on them level 2 and try to all in, which works. Just a lot of people are afraid to take that Ziggs all in because it relies on you hitting bombs consistently. Like you have to essentially hit every single bomb. If you don't, then you're fucked. Like you just die. So a lot of people don't do that. But then also one thing we have to consider is the biggest counter to Ziggs was MF, because MF could build BT, and they nerfed MF and they nerfed BT. So the answers to Ziggs are not as good as they were. So maybe we'll see throughout the tournament more people be willing to just take the L to Ziggs and lane and play like Kai'Sa Nautilus and, you know, Ezreal and these types of answers, or they play more Callista, these types of things. But I think that overall it does what it needs to do. The main question is going to be, what is the prio of the AD mid laners? Because that is part of the reason why Ziggs was being played. And if Yone is banned every game and it turns out that people don't want to play things like Tristana, I mean, now we're starting to see some like Renekton mid pop up as like an answer to some of the melee mids. So even though it hasn't looked good, these people fucking suck at Renekton. That's the problem.
I tell you, when we see some of Chovy's like melee mids, like it's gonna be scary. Like Chovy will destroy people with that Renekton, I'm sure.
Yeah, if he plays Renekton into Akali, he's not down 20 CS. Like for Scowy, literally, like he doesn't know how to fucking play the champion. He doesn't know how to animation cancel properly. Yeah. Like he was fucking awful on that pick. And I think people will see it and be like, oh, well, then it's not that good. Why do you think Renekton mid is popping up? You think it was just 100 Thieves and Mad Lions were like, we think we have really good Renekton players? It's because they're scrimming better teams, and the better teams are using that as an answer to the melee mids that we are seeing, right? Into Yone, if Yone is left through, because some teams don't want to ban Yone every game. If Akali is being played, like this is where Renekton should really shine, and it's a flex. So
yeah, I guess when we've talked about a lot of these champions, a lot of these changes, I just get, and we'll talk about it in our final segment of the day, I just get really nervous for Team Liquid. I mean, you just look at the champs that Umpty played.
What?
Sejuani, Maokai, Lilia, Ivern, and then Vi is his other one. Those are all 5 champions he played in spring playoffs.
And we saw his fucking Lilia, bro. Like his Lilia is just, oh my god, it's fucking bad.
Yeah. So
also, I'm sure APA is going to be thrilled because his 14% win rate, Orianna, a real terror.
Yep.
It's not great. All right. So those are the play-ins. Some of our immediate reactions to the teams that qualified in. You know what? One more, just to give the shout out to our European fans. What did you make of Mad Lions making it through as early as they did? This is time for the MVP of play-ins shout out, probably for Alvaro down on the bottom side.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I mean, I had them making it out. People think I'm like a delusional Mad Lions hater where I'm just predicting them to lose all the time. Like
you did it. You did it. That's one we can cash in on when it was keep or kick last week. I was like, all right, we keep in or kick in 100 Thieves and Mad Lions. You picked Mad Lions, and you were more right than what we thought.
I mean, Mad Lions is a much better team than 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves is shit. They're fucking bad. Like everyone knew it. But the thing is, not only I feel like the fact that they're bad is kind of deluding people in a way. When we get to the segment, we'll talk about really like what the situation is. They still underperformed, even though they are fucking bad, and I feel like that needs to be noted. So, we've got
like
that.
all of their flaws times 2.
Yeah, I mean, it was worse than even we could have ever expected.
Look, the thing about Mad Lions is you expect them to get out. They're from a major region, right? They should be getting out of this situation.
The teams that should have got out, it should have been very simple who gets out. The teams that should have got out, PSG, Mad Lions, 100 Thieves, GAM.
3 of them did.
That's just who should get out. Like the teams that should lose, Vikings Esports, the fucking Hawks, R7, Pain. That's who should have lost.
Hawks.
The fucking Hawks, bro. That team's ass, bro. They lost 100 Thieves. How ass are the fucking SoftBank Hawks? Jesus.
They're soft Hawks. All right.
Oh.
Okay, well there it is. There's your moment in the sun, Mad Lions fans. Congratulations. Enjoy Swiss stage. All right, so that's just our quick reactions there to play-in. So it's time for the first structured segment of the day. Before we do, Monty, you were on vacation for a little bit. How was your vacation? How was your time back in the States?
Good. It's currently 1:30 a.m. In Korea, and I did Summoning Insight earlier today, and I am very jet lagged. So you know the and by the way, you say vacation, but I have 2 small children. So is it really a vacation?
I don't know. You tell me. That's what
It was
I'm
fine.
asking.
I was at Tahoe. I did hiking, hung out in my family's cabin, did some shows, did some work, and then went out and did stuff with my kids. It's fine.
Nice.
That Tahoe, having a summer house. That's nice. The dream. Monty living the dream. All right. Now we go from vacation and everything on fire to permanent vacation, 400 Thieves. Everything's on fire. It's time, everyone. Go ahead. It's time for the hate watch. Get your glasses out because Monty and Dom are about to tear him up, and I just have to watch and just feel sad. Everything's on fire for 100 Thieves. Actually, before I get really sad, time to call out people that were like, let's take the fucking names of all the people saying 100 Thieves aren't going to make it on out. We'll remember that. Make sure you check your sources of where you get your content before you just opt in and are like, yes, this is it. I trust everything on Twitter, on the internet, from TikTok, or maybe people that don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and they spew shit all the time with the platform that they have without consequence, and they do it yet again. No. You come to Power Spike because you're smart. You want to be educated. You're getting educated, and you've got 2 of the biggest brains, and then me asking the right questions there to do that. Yamato comes in with his experience as well. That's why you watch Power Spike. Stop listening to stupid people on the fucking internet just because they said what you want to hear compared to the actuality of what's going to happen. Thank you. All right, 100 Thieves are on fire. You guys called it. Dom, what actually happened? You said you got it.
So for me, what I think it's very easy to just be like, didn't people like know that 100 Thieves sucked? It's like, yes, everyone knew that 100 Thieves sucked. Like they're a fucking bad team. There's a million reasons why they're bad. They were 3-0'd brutally by FlyQuest and TL. They look like they'd never seen a lane swap before in their life. They went internationally, PSG lane swapped on them. You saw like the same fucking thing happen where they're just super far behind. They are definitely a bad team. But they underperformed still. That is the main thing that I'm trying to get through to people. Is like they should have still made it out of play-ins. The fact that they didn't make it out of play-ins shows how much of chokers they are on top of everything else. Like we saw the same thing with Quid when he originally came in, where he just looked like he wasn't himself. And you look at this play-ins performance for how good he is. Like he underperformed super fucking hard, way more mistakes. And the reason why they're here in the first place was because of Rivera and Quid. Like at the end of the day, Tomo was consistent. Like, Ayla had some decent games for his standards. Sniper had some issues when it comes to like knowing when to TP, the macro game. Like he's not the smartest player yet, but he's very mechanically talented. But Rivera and Quid were the engine behind this team. And Quid just didn't show up. Like Quid just didn't show up to the fucking tournament. He's playing the worst league that I've seen him play in so long in this tournament. And this is a guy who was a fucking MVP. Like, hold him to the standard of a fucking MVP. We're saying he's the MVP.
Fucking inspired, baby.
I've been saying that since he won MVP, and he was just not even playing particularly well in the summer split. And there was no conversation about where is the MVP, the reigning MVP. If this had been a real sports league, the only thing anyone would have been talking about is why is the MVP, the reigning MVP, playing so badly?
Yep. But I mean, my whole point is that like this team found a way to lose versus a team that they should be better than. Like people will look at this R7 team. You saw what Lions did with that lead versus Pain Gaming. You saw how bad they are at controlling the lead. Even in the game 3 that R7 ended up winning, they're so far ahead, there's nothing we can do. And there was still so many throws. How many times did they just in and Viego got a reset and Viego and then we get a Baron and like there's this whole situation that we throw with the Baron. Then they have Sol and Baron coming up. The LeBlanc gets caught like right before the objective. Then we just choose to not take Sol, which is obviously the thing that pissed me off. This is all like this team is not good. This R7 team is not fucking good. And like I mean, obviously they're the best LLA team, But the fact that we lost was disgraceful. It was a horrible North American performance. It is the worst North American performance we've ever had at Worlds. And that should be noted. Don't get lost in the idea that 100 Thieves are bad and say that this was like expected. This was not expected. This is an unexpected loss. They should have won. They were favorites, big favorites to win versus R7, and they failed.
I mean, I got razor caked pretty hard because they at least had like if we're comparing it, right? So regular season, summer split, 100 Thieves was bad. And then they had a very temporary glow up and boost in performance versus Cloud9, where I think they played the map a lot better than we're typically used to seeing them play. And then it's like that somehow sucked all of their good gaming energy out. And then we just end up with this Worlds performance where they're just twice as bad at the things that they're always twice that they have been bad at in the past. Their macro game was horrific. Ayla, who looked, I guess, okay during the summer playoffs, completely like reversed form. And then by the time
71st best player,
71st best player
Yep.
behind Reckless.
Empty cell, like
behind no one. I would rather have no support and play the game 4v5 than play with Ayla. That is what I'm saying.
I mean, especially when we're talking about it's your elimination game, man, and your mouse is in the wrong position, so you're flashing backwards, and then you're going up to a grub fight, and then you like miss your rel queue and your crash down, and then you just fucking lose the game. But it's also just the awareness. In the first game that they were playing against PSG Talon, they just sit there and they see Aja on the wave that's pushed in. They're like, does this man have a full Narbar? Yes, he does. Where is Woody on Alistair? Could he be going on like a 15-second long flank around us? No, that's not possible. And then they're somehow fucking surprised by like the pincer collapse of Aja and Woody. And then on top of that, Sniper then TP's late to the play. Like, what the fuck is actually going on with this team?
Yeah, I mean, you know what the comms are. Like, what's happening in Sniper's head. He's like, fuck, I gotta fix my wave. I gotta go catch this thing. He's thinking so wave focused. Remember, in post-game interview, he said, Aja, I'm coming for you. He's thinking about that. He's not thinking about the team fight. All of us see Narbar. That's the important thing. We know that. Even I know that. And he's like, I gotta, catch up on CS. I gotta fucking.
Maybe he meant, Aja, you're coming in me, because that's what actually.
Jesus. What the fuck?
Monty's rejuvenated from vacation. What happened? What happened?
God damn.
But seriously, like the reason why he was so far behind and fixated on the wave is because the lane swap to start that game, they try to make a dive on the bot side. He takes 50% of his HP, and he's so concerned with catching that top wave that he doesn't recall and he doesn't buy, he doesn't do anything. He doesn't he doesn't get his HP back. He TPs into the top side for like the remaining 2 minions on the turret, and then immediately gets chunked out by Betty on Jin, and then he has to go back, and then he doesn't have TP now, and it's a whole fucking mess. Like, he created a mess in the lane swap, and then he's down 30 CS because he like chain reactioned himself into this situation. Yep. It's bad. It's really bad.
There's just some mistakes you can't make. I mean, as soon as he TP'd to catch that 2 minion wave, like
you didn't catch a wave. There wasn't a wave there. Like, use your brain. Like, look at it. There's no pressure. You know what I mean? There's no pressure. He literally just started a dive where they traded 1-for-1. It was actually kind of a good play. It was an okay play. And then immediately
it didn't even need to be 1-for-1. They had flash that they didn't use. They didn't even need to be 1-for-1.
That wasn't his fault, though. He actually played well during the dive. But, just look, he can look. Like, does this guy play like fucking camera lock? Like, that's the only explanation for the way he TPs.
Maybe.
It's not
I think
great.
A lot of it is just like, it's like the pressure that he feels, because when the dive goes 1-for-1 and he sees that Nara is like level 3, level 4, he's like, okay, I need to TP top. There's no one top. And then he just doesn't there's always things that people like don't factor in, right? It's like the enemy AD carry. Like, think about when AD carries are played top, why are they played top? Because they are fucking super lane bullies. Because they bully shit like Renekton so fucking hard. Right? Like, that is why we see specifically Vayne into Renekton and champions like Quinn into Renekton, is because Renekton doesn't have the ability to deal with these raid champions well. So when he TPs in at level 2, he's not only playing Renekton versus an AD carry, he's playing Renekton from behind levels versus an AD carry with the wave in a bad spot. So it's like it's a whole problem that they need to be able to fix as a team. But I don't even know if him catching the top waves even makes sense there. It's like if he is going to base and then TP, he needs somebody else to come top in order to push out the wave, because the wave is bouncing and he is lower level than that Jhin. So even if he comes in full HP, he's not going to be able to actually do anything in that lane.
They're just so young, right? Like the team is young.
But they aren't young. How are they young?
On the international stage. How about that? He's young, and then Quid is new
young.
on the international. Yeah, Quid is young, and then the other three, I think it's driven a lot by River and Ayla, and then Tomo's the new guy who's consistent, happy to be there, and probably not.
I just don't get it. I mean, like for me, there's just the one thing that I really hate is that somebody who's been playing competitive League since 2017, since spring of 2017, like Ayla, who's 25 years old, is like gets like a pass. Like, oh, let's see how he develops. Like we never get a pass. This.
He doesn't get a pass. We're not giving him a pass. I'm giving Sniper a pass.
Okay, Tomo doesn't get a pass either. Tomo's been playing for how long? Like, when did Tomo start playing?
Probably like 4 years.
I'm just wondering about these TP plays, because even Tomo, like an underrated part of game 2 was like Tomo on the Ziggs wasting his TP to come to mid lane for no reason in the early game. And then he can't cover bot. And like PSG just plays the map so much better and collects so much more farm as a result. Like 100 Thieves, these are unforced errors that they are making that are infuriating. And they over prioritize objectives that they can just fucking give up. They just don't understand that flanks can happen on them. I mean, even in earlier matches, like think about Sniper, which game was it? It was one of the R7 games where he's just on Cassante and he TPs after his teammates are dead into the bot lane and just dies. What the fuck is that?
Yep.
20 he joined Harrisburg. That's like the first structured team, Tomo, in beginning of 2020. So 4 years. But still, like I after looking at that, I still side with you on that.
5 years at this point, but yeah.
Yeah. I still side with you on that. Yeah.
I mean, my whole point is like these players, I really hate how Western players are babied compared to Eastern players by the community in terms of like ages and experience. Like, just if you go international and you don't perform, I don't remember anyone ever saying like, oh, but Wei is so young. When Wei was playing on like RNG, when they lost to T1, they're like, yeah, fuck this stupid ass team. This team sucks. Like those players should swim back home. Like people are fucking mad at them. But then when Western players go, it's like, oh, it's just a lad. Like don't flame him. He's just
we
a
must
boy.
protect him.
We must protect him. It's like, bro, these players have been playing League for a fucking long time. Like a rookie over here is significantly older and more experienced and theoretically better at dealing with stress than Asian rookies, and they just get so much more of a pass.
You're reframing. I think that's the narrative that definitely got put out by the broadcast and maybe some of the community, but like, who gets a pass? Did Sniper get a pass? Does Quid get a pass? I think Quid was MVP.
I think Sniper gets a pass. Like he is literally like 17 and he made Worlds in his first year. Like I'm not disappointed with Sniper's performance. And also like Sniper like fucked up macro things and stuff like that. But he played well in some fights. Like he like smurfed in some
Aatrox fights were pretty good.
I mean the Aatrox fights also when he played Cassante in that game 3 versus R7, like he's doing work in the fight. And the reason why they're losing is because Quid is fucking useless. Like Quid is just 0-10 on Vex. Like you're going to get what you get with Sniper. He's going to play fights pretty well. He's pretty good at skirmishing. He understands target selection, but he's just not good macro-wise yet. And he did that domestically. And if he showed up, you got what you would expect from Sniper on this international stage. But you didn't get what you should have got from Quid. Quid should look like a fucking professional out there. He should look like, this is the reason why I'm the import in a major region and you're fucking in LLA. That's what he should be doing in this R7 game. Like, I'm the Korean mid lane import to LCS. I'm an MVP. Like, I'm gonna fucking make you my bitch. And he didn't make that. Like, he got just ganked. Like, he was just playing disrespectfully. It just didn't look like he was the better player. And I just feel like that's a big issue. I mean, River didn't look great in some games. He had looked really good in other games. I think Tomo played uncharacteristically bad. If you think about how well he was playing on Ziggs domestically, he was very consistent. And even if you watched his Lucian game, like the way he's playing in lane phase, he just looks really scared. He just looked really, really nervous. And it's tough because you didn't get the 100 Thieves that you got domestically. Even I don't think that they would have done anything. They would have just made it out of play-ins and then got completely owned by all the better teams. But their expectation was not met. Even though they suck, they still had more expectations than what they showed.
Yeah. Final thoughts here, Monty, on 100 Thieves.
I mean, this was a complete ass kicking, dGon. Like, this was a disgusting gapping that never should have happened. It was so bad that there are probably milk cartons being printed right now in America because they got kidgapped at this tournament. When they get back, Nadeshot can take them out to a nice dinner at Gapplebee's for how much they fucking sucked. They actually earned their placard for their car to get preferred parking because they got handicapped.
Okay. Well, where do they buy their clothes?
Yeah, you see, you get it.
Okay.
Like, I thought, with the new movie coming out, Chris Evans retiring, that we had actually closed who is going to play this role. But now they're auditioning for Captain America, dGon.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
And they might be doing a remake of that Sean Connery, Catherine Zeta-Jones movie, except it'll be called Engapment.
I was wondering where you were going with that one.
And if Christopher Guest were to make a mockumentary about their Worlds performance, this is Spinal Gap. So there you go. Okay. That's how much they fucking suck.
It was pathetic.
I'm glad Tomo got to go to Worlds before his career. He decides to end his career whenever that happens. But I'm just glad he's worked hard and he's had great moments. But this was a opportunity that he dropped the ball and the team dropped the ball there. So 100 Thieves historically out in the play-in stage here. First time North America has had that happen. Maybe not the last, but who knows? Now we know it is at least possible. Side note, just kind of wanted to talk a little bit. Do we know what the format for Americas is going to be next year? Like, how many teams is it? Did they say what it is?
What do you mean?
Like, is it 10 teams? Is it 8 teams? Like
8 teams each conference.
It's 8 teams.
Yeah, it's 6 LCS, 6 CB LOL, 1 LLA in both regions, and 1 guest spot for promotion relegation.
So it's 6 1 1 1
6 1 1 6 1 1.
Yep.
Oh.
So like Northern Conference is 6 LCS, 1 LLA, 1 guest. Southern Conference is 6 CB LOL, 1 LLA, 1 guest.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it is 6. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I forgot that. I was like, 10 teams? Then what does that mean? Is it 6 2 2? I forgot. Thank you for that. Well, we'll see if 100 Thieves and the rest of see if they'll be able to get revenge against Rainbow 7 in the future. All right. Well, that was Everything's on Fire with 100 Thieves. If we didn't hit everything that you wanted to, let us know in the comments below. Do you think 100 Thieves is a performance is as bad as we made it out to be? Are they actually dining at Gapplebee's, or are they just
they definitely are, dGon.
Are they trying to dine at Silver Liner? Do you like that one?
It's good.
Does it, Dom, come on. Have you eaten at Silver Diner before? That was okay. I thought of that on the spot.
I've not even heard of Silver Diner. What is Silver Diner?
You never had Silver Diner? Oh my God.
Do they have that in Florida?
I feel like it's an East Coast chain. Anyways, it's an old diner. It's a diner chain. Anyways, all right. Moving on. 100 Thieves in the dumps. They're gone.
It's only in Maryland, Virginia, New Jersey.
Oh, okay. Well, how about that? I'm from Virginia, so shout outs to all of
I knew what it was.
Yeah, I knew what it was. Shout outs to the DMV homies for knowing that one, and the people in New Jersey, I guess. All right. Next up, to close out the play-ins, now that we've got the bad taste out of the mouth and, unfortunately watched the dumpster fire happen, it's time for us to take a look at the best player that has improved over at play-ins, thanks to our friends over at Into the AM. And right now, Into the AM has their fall collection on display here for more than just graphic tees. It includes a variety of thoughtfully selected pieces that capture the spirit of the autumn season. I know that some of you guys are going to Worlds and gals are going to Worlds, and it can get a little cold and a little chilly. Well, you can go ahead and get yourself one of my favorites, the long sleeve waffle knit crew. That's one of the things
right.
that's here for autumn. Or if you're, I guess like a zip up kind of chap. I don't like the zipper thing, this thing. They have the Endeavor quarter zip. You can go all the way up and then kind of like about here down. I see him do that. I see that all the time when watching European football matches and it looks a little cold. Well, Into the AM has you covered, so you can.
I like how you reversed it on them, and instead of calling it, because they call it American football, now we just call it European football. We have the real football. Okay,
That's right.
Yeah.
It is football season, baby. 2-2, Bo Nix, baby. All right. And whatever quarterback that the Dolphins are using this week.
His first half stats were 7 of 15 passing, -7 yards. Oh yeah,
Historically bad. That's never happened.
Still won a game of football with 60 total passing yards against
Aaron
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Look, I have more hope because we're using Tyler Huntley this week, which is way better than fucking Skylar Thompson, bro. Like this guy, look, I don't cheer for injuries, but I would be lying if when he went down and there wasn't a part of me that was like, thank God, like thank God that like we actually are going to be able to use another human quarterback, because our quarterback situation.
You could trade for Russell Wilson. He's just sitting on the bench of the Steelers.
No, we're good on Russell Wilson.
You should get my boy Tyrod. Go get Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah,
actually, they wouldn't do that because it's within division. He's behind the Jets right now, so I don't think they would do that. But yeah, I was gonna say Tyler Huntley or Tim Boyle. Who you got?
Fucking Tim Boyle. No. Tyler Huntley is definitely better, I think, bro. Bro,
right.
Like I don't know, man. Like our fucking players are just terrible. Like Tim Boyle, how the fuck is he even in the NFL? Like how is this guy in the fucking NFL? Our offense versus Seahawks was so pathetically shit because of the quarterbacks. Like I just don't know how they could actually be this bad as backup quarterbacks. Like there's backup quarterback. For example, we had Teddy Two Gloves coming in. There was times where it's like, you know what? I can see why he's in the NFL. Why the fuck is Tim Boyle in the NFL? Who let him in the NFL, bro? That's like Ayla playing fucking quarterback. How the fuck is he in the league? It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it. Like, he wasn't good in college. He's not good. Why is he here, bro? Like, why is he here? He has no talent. He has no ambition, no future, bro. Get him out of the fucking NFL.
Especially when you have all the weapons that the Dolphins have. You have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. You have both A-Chain and Mostert there. Jonnu Smith, like that dude is a tank. He's a tank.
I mean, look,
and you just can't get anyone the ball. That's something.
I mean, the problem is that Tua's best quality is his accuracy. Like he is super fucking accurate, and his ability to like read plays and like understand like where to put the ball is really important. And when you have somebody like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, you can't just like throw a ball up and like have them like jump ball for it. Like that ball needs to be out in front of them so that they can fucking catch that ball. Like you have to put that fucking ball out in front of them so they can use their speed to actually catch it. And like the throws that they have are just fucking terrible, bro. Like the ball is always behind them or it's too far. They just don't have the accuracy to just play with players.
Get yourself a Russell Wilson and have some moon balls to Tyreek. It'll work.
Do you know here, I'm gonna give you a stat. I just looked it up. Tim Boyle in the NFL. This is what he has. 121 completions out of 196 attempts, 61% completion percentage. Could be worse. 4 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. 4 touchdowns, 12 interceptions in the NFL. He has thrown 3 times the amount of interceptions as touchdowns in the fucking NFL. 1,000 passing yards. And this guy has been in the NFL for how fucking long? 7 years? This guy's a fucking bum. Please get him out of the fucking league.
He's a locker room guy. He's a glue guy. You know,
he's a fucking bum. Get him out of get him off my team, please. I can't watch it again.
And
he holds a good clipboard on the sideline.
Yeah. That was the other place I was going to. Well, we're bringing it all the way back here because I know earlier I said if you're watching European football, you're going to find yourself over at Worlds, or if you're going to be watching the superior football in the stadium, it's starting to get a little cold. You can head on over to intotheam.com/LFN because they've got themselves the October warehouse sale up to 60% off some of their favorites from earlier in the year. So head on over there into theam.com/LFN. Use the code LFN to help us out here over at
And it gets you 10% off in addition to the 60% off of the warehouse sale. So it's a lot. It's a lot off, you know.
Yeah. Just because we always let you know that we're doing the thing. Bam. I'm wearing the Into the AM shorts. Can't get
I'm
it.
wearing the shirt.
The shorts are just so good, man. They're so good. I don't know if it's in camera. I'm sure it's in camera. I'm like trying my best. They just such a great fit. I love wearing them. Thanks to our friends over at Into the AM. So let's get into the Into the AM glow up, the player who has improved the most during play-ins. All right. Dom, you made the eternal ranking, you know, and some of those players were there, but who glowed up the most, that surprised you the most? I think we have one main front runner that we teased earlier in the show, but give us some candidates.
I mean, I think like it depends on what you're saying. Like they had the biggest glow up in the play-ins, or like from where they play, what they played before to like how they're playing now in play-ins.
We'll just say from their previous performance to World's performance.
It's really hard for me to say because I just don't watch these players domestically, the majority of them. So like I have no idea how good Emo was, but I thought Emo was pretty good in the stage. I mean, he did play like multiple games of Yone and Tristana, so he didn't have like the biggest variety of champions, but he looked really solid for Gam. I thought he was up there. I think Alvaro played well, but I thought he was always good domestically. I mean, I wouldn't be so like if you told me that Alvaro was the best player in play-ins previous to it, or he would end up being the best player in play-ins, I would have had him like in that conversation. I think that he was a candidate. Maybe Merwin would have like really popped off on some, you know, specific counter picks, things like this. Or you could have players like Junjia, who I thought might be in there. Maybe Quid would have been somebody who I expected to play well. He would have been on the short list of players that I would expect to perform really well in a play-in stage.
Monty, how about for you?
Well, I think for me, Alvaro does hit the spots. Like Dom, you know, I'm not watching a lot of these guys domestically, but like Alvaro, I think came out very strong in the winter split on Mad Lions, and then he was still fine, but he was a lot less flashy. But I think he made a lot of very critical like engage plays, and we got to see his Alistair and his Rel really shine in this. So it felt like we were talking about him more in a way than we had ever since his winter split performance, which to me, I think constitutes a glow up.
Do we have, so I'm going to bring up something a little controversial just because I mean, controversial, we'll see. But Peter Dunn had his like list of best players, and it didn't include at the 80 carry role, the Titan. Right, Titan for
he did pretty well.
Gaming did pretty well, but he didn't have it there, and I don't know how. I don't know where it came into, or it did have Titan, but then it was going back and forth. Like there was a lot of like arguing going back and forth. But like, who did you have at the 80 carry role for, you know, I guess the team of play-in? Did you have Titan or did you have Supa?
I mean, Titan was like gapping people by like 40 CS in like the qualifier. I mean, I think this guy was really smurfing. I don't know. It's just mad fans just being insufferable again. It's just fucking horrible fan base, just comprised of absolute animals. Like, it's just so many people are just disgusting in that fan base. Like, even worse than what we've seen with like T1 fans. Yeah, I mean, it's fucking crazy, bro. Like, the amount of like harassment that comes from them for just like stating your opinion is fucking crazy. Like that, I don't know. It's just like a really like disrespectful fan base. That's the thing that I've noticed. It's not like Peter Dunn said anything crazy. Like Peter Dunn was like, yeah, I think that this player is better by quite a margin. And it's like, that's why you're out of LEC. It's like, are you guys just fucking stupid or what? Like, he's out of LEC because he literally left his spot because he has a kid. And he's like, I want to spend time with my kid. And they're like, spending time with your fucking kid? What are you, some type of fucking loser? Like, it's just, it's so fucking weird.
I mean, that's how those fans, you know, turned out.
Base, bro.
That's how the
I
fans
hate
turned
that
out
fan
the
base.
way they did because their parents didn't spend time with them.
Exactly. Probably, bro. That's probably it. Like, I don't know, bro. Like, it's just it's so strange. Like the level that they
Shout
take
out
it
to Peter Dunn for making sure that we're not making any more Mad Lions Koi fans. Shout out to Peter Dunn. You're doing the right
Like
thing.
this is how it should fucking work, right? You should be like, I think this team it looks like shit, and then they should be like, I think you look like shit, and that should be like the end of it. Like that should be just kind of the end of it. But then what Mad Lions fans have done with me is they just start rewriting my career. But the thing that I appreciate about Mad Lions fans is they're so fucking illiterate that they haven't been able to determine that I didn't actually win 2015 summer. They just go to my wiki and they see a first place and they say, you won 20, like he only won one split and he acts like this. It's like, no, I actually lost that split. That was regular season, but they just haven't been able to figure that out yet. So I've been lucky in that regard. But yeah, that is one of my top 3 most hated fan base. Cannot stand them.
I now realize what I've done. I drew them in during our opening free talk about play-ins, giving them the shout-outs so that Dom could come back and just crush them later.
Hell yeah.
I did not know.
Yeah.
Mad
the thing
Lions
is, like, I kind of
fans.
like the team. I just hate the fucking fans. Like, I just hate them. Like, just hate them, bro. Like, it's just so insane to deal with people like that. This fan culture that we have, that people like try to like say is like, oh, it's so good to have like a football like fan culture. I hate that shit. I don't know why everyone likes
None of
that
us
shit.
got into esports for that shit, by the way, guys. Like we kind of liked it when those people weren't around.
I fucking hate like Patriots fans, like Celtics fans. Like, there's so many annoying fan bases that I'm just like, I fucking don't like this shit.
And they're all from Boston, apparently.
True. Boston fan bases are pretty fucked up. Philadelphia fan base is pretty fucked up. I don't like that type of fandom. I don't know why that fandom is being celebrated as being like good for esports. It's like, it's good that a lot of people care. It's like, I would rather less people fucking care. I would rather have less people watch my stream. And I literally sabotage my stream intentionally to try to make sure that my view count isn't getting too high. I probably have to do this shit now because it's been spiking recently. I hate having a lot of idiots just like chirping 24/7. Like, I would rather have like 2,000 viewers where I feel like I can have a human conversation than 10,000 viewers where it feels like I'm just a fucking character or some shit. It's so fucking annoying.
Yeah, you have a higher chance of getting one guide when you have lots of one guys in your chat. I just keep looking at this tweet, right? Like, there's nothing incendiary about what Peter said with all these candidates for our Into the AM glow up. It just says team of play-ins, top Kiaya, Jungle Levi, mid Maple, 80 carry Titan, support Alvaro. Been quite a banger play-ins, great storylines, exciting games.
It's a good list, I think.
But definitely exciting. Most of the teams felt pretty close and capable of beating each other on their day. Like, there is nothing about comparing against others.
Well, no.
Is the Mad Lions player there? Like, that's just crazy, dude.
No. What it was when Chakra said Titan over Supa, otherwise agree. And he said, for sure, I don't think it's close. That's what he said. That made everyone like piss their fucking pants.
Oh, Chakra he's needling. No, that's okay. It was an accident. I mean, it wasn't on purpose. Look, the first comment is, bro, you signed Evie XD.
Yep.
All right. Well, those were so. Oh, let's
the thing that I don't understand is like these people will like flame you based off your career, but like if you go career versus career, it's like none of these people have accomplished anything. Like then their fucking goat, who's Ebi, he never accomplished anything as like a player or a coach, right? Like he's like a team owner or something like that. Then his opinion doesn't matter, right? Like, because that's what we're doing. We're saying based on the amount of success you've had in your career, then your opinion matters more. So then like the only person that can fucking talk is like somebody who's like an LEC champion, which honestly, I am down for that type of hierarchy. If that's what the fans want, if they want it so that I can say whatever the fuck I want. And the only people that can contest with me are like LCS champions and like people, because those people don't even fucking flame me anyway. Like I'm never getting into arguments with fucking, like Caps and people like that and like Yankos and these legendary
You're interviewing them.
I'm interviewing them. The people I'm arguing with are the fucking idiots all day. So I'm down for a type of format where it's like all of them just can't say anything. But that's not even what they fucking want, bro. Like it's so I hate dealing with fan bases, man. I really hate dealing with fan bases, man. I fucking hate it so much.
All right, let's lock it in. Who was our Into the AM player that improved the most? Monty, you go first.
Well, like I said, I'm not a domestic enjoyer of many of these teams, so I can't say that Teton was like way better in this than he was domestically. So
No,
I
he
think
was like
Alvaro.
the best AD. He was the best AD carry domestically, I would say. So like he
All right, there
should
you
like
go.
his performance did match the expectation, I would say.
So I would go with Alvaro because we haven't. I don't think we've seen this form in like 6 months from him.
All right, Dom.
I mean, it's really hard to say. Like based off my expectations, which are pretty much just based off what I saw at like MSI, I thought Emo played surprisingly well.
Okay, and then lastly, I'll throw myself in there because we saw some terrible Shyvana jungle in the LCK. Give it to the Shyvana abuser here because remember in solo queue, you're not Levi, so don't play it in solo queue. Levi,
And I never want to see Peanut play it ever again.
I know, man. The Peanut one was so bad. It was so bad. It was bad. But who knows? Maybe he'll play it. Maybe it's meta. Like we'll see what the Swiss stage will bring. That was our Into the AM glow up. Again, thanks to our friends over at Into the AM. Get 10% off your order during the October warehouse sale, which has extra 60% off already at intotheam.com/LFN. That's intotheam.com/LFN. Okay. One more to go. And obviously, we've now closed the chapter on the past as Worlds has started. Maybe if you're like Dom and Monty, Worlds is starting now. The real Worlds is starting now as we have our multiple teams here for play-ins. And we're going to predict the first round of play-ins, which, again, it's Swiss, or the first round of Swiss. Because again, it is best of ones to start. You win 3, you're in. You lose 3, you're out. You get your full series in elimination and qualification matches. That's when it really counts. But until then, best of ones, coin flips. So we'll do our best to try and look at all the angles. It's time for the Galaxy Brain Club discussion of the Swiss stage. Okie dokie. Let's do it. Let's start with the draw. Like again, it kind of cascaded down at the end where teams couldn't slot into against other certain teams. But what is the most interesting draw? I think there's
Fnatic
one game
T
that's
plus.
really good.
Let's go shit show.
Yeah, that's the one I was
No
hoping
macro?
you were gonna play, Monty. Yeah,
No macro wars.
What would happen in a game where no one knew how to win? That's what the question will be answered.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. Dom,
it's going to go down to 7 dragons and then an elder flip. Let's go.
And then minions are going to end it. That's what I hope.
And then both teams tried to backdoor
that's
at the
the
same
NA
time.
special. The minions end the NA games. They won't end that game.
Okay. What is the one that you're looking forward to the most here, Dom?
Personally, probably like Mad Lions BLG. I think that'll be nice to watch just because I want to see I just want to see what happens on Twitter afterwards. Like, but in terms of like the actual matches, I mean, for me, I'm really hyped for TL versus LNG. I think that should be, yeah, BLG versus Mad Lions.
TL LNG.
Yeah, or
I mean that one actually
T1.
TL LNG might actually be interesting because maybe Scout isn't in the best shape right now after his legal battle or whatever the fuck he's been going through, ransoming himself from the Chinese government. I don't know what to say about that. Like, what is the technical term for that? I don't know. Paying his own ransom. But maybe he's not going to be in the best shape. But also, I think Team Liquid may be. I mean, they have the macro strength, and LNG isn't as good of a macro team by a long shot as they were last year. And I mean, as far as we know, the lane swaps are still relatively viable, so maybe TL can get some edges there. But I'm excited about that one. I think that's like winnable for TL. I really wish we had seen the TL versus T1 rematch in the first round because that was a possibility with the draw, but we didn't get that. But I do want to say that this Swiss system is just fucking bullshit because what kind of universe is going to give us TES versus T1 and Gen G versus Weibo, and then like G2 and FlyQuest just get free passes?
I hope FlyQuest has a free pass.
Yeah, I was gonna say, both FlyQuest and Gam are looking at each other, being like, "Yes."
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's if you just think about the scenarios here, and this is why the pool system sucks, and this is why Swiss sucks, and we don't need this. By the way, we literally do not need this system. We could actually just do 4 GSL groups, and it would be a bazillion times better than this. But because we have this pool system, we end up with a scenario where like it could be G2 versus GAM in the second round, and then one of those teams is 2-0 and has 3 chances, 3 best of 3s to qualify for quarters. It's shit. It's a shit system.
Mhm.
You come to the show to hear Monty and Dom flame the format, and there it is.
It's just a bad format. Look, I don't know. So Riot did announce this new power rankings thing that they're working on with AWS. And I think that in the long term, like, I don't think they want to use it now for seeding because obviously they want to work the kinks out of it. But it seems like they're pretty serious about running that. And that is probably in the long term going to be a better way to seed teams than the pool system. So I am optimistic that it could improve. But the problem is that in esports, even when you have a lot of data and you have to do seeding, it still fucks up because we see that in Counter-Strike. You can have a lot of international tournaments with the same teams over and over and over again. But even then, like, the Swiss system is better, but it's still bad, as anybody who watches Counter-Strike will tell you. The Swiss is not good for group stages at these events. It just isn't, because the seeding is always fucked up somehow. And you have to have good seeding to have a good outcome.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, the seeding just needs to be actually changed to what the results of tournaments are, which is that in general, it's like, if you wanted to put pool 1, we haven't had a Western team make semifinals of Worlds since 2020. Like,
yeah.
So why are 2 Western teams seeded as pool 1 teams?
Yep.
Like, pool 1 would be top 4, right? But they never get top 4. Like, it is a rarity that a Western team makes top 4 at this time. And I think you should just move based on, like, the last Worlds and stuff like that, where what have we seen consistently? The Chinese and Korean teams dominate every fucking year. So as a result, maybe you just put like 2 of the Western teams, the top 2 seed, become pool 2, and then it becomes a lot easier. If the top 4 teams, let's say the pool 1 teams were Hanwha Life, Genji, Top Esports, BLG, I feel like that would already improve the matchups a lot more, because when the second seed places the third seed, sure, all the top seed teams, they would just get essentially buys. They would all stomp the teams in the pool 4, which is all the play-in teams. Then you'd get a lot of banger matches, because you'd get, like, you know, G2 playing versus most likely like Dom1 or something like this, as opposed to what we get right now.
Well, you know, if we were to, in the theoretical universe, use the current global power rankings, the top 4 teams would be Genji, Bilibili, Hanwha Life, and Top Esports, right? And then those would be split up away from each other in the Swiss stage, right? So it would accomplish the same thing as what you're saying, Dom, basically.
Yeah, sure.
I think the other thing I was explaining, you know, the Worlds format to some people that are new to League, and unlike other esports, we just don't have a minor region team make an impactful run, right? You know, like, it's always like our Cinderella story is a team from Korea won Worlds, right? Like, that's what it is.
Pretty good.
So, it was a great story, but, like, it's not like, I don't know, it's in Counter-Strike, the Mongols. It's like a team from Mongolia or like something like that, right? Isn't that who it is? Or like,
yes.
In Dota, like, these smaller regions are able to rise on up and make an impact higher on up.
But part of that is that because those games have more regular international play, the playing field evens out over time. Because it's not a lack of fundamental talent, it's a lack of available practice partners. There's also other factors in play. Primarily in the 2 games that you mentioned, dGon, is that Koreans don't play them. So there aren't Koreans to kick your ass. that actually is important.
Sure. I had another point there. I guess I was gonna go like the Street Fighter Tekken, but like, even then, you know, like, okay, like Arslan Ash, right, coming out of nowhere, Angry Man, I think, or Angry Man, Angry Bird,
Angry Bird, I think.
Angry Bird, right?
I
So
don't
I'm
know much
just,
about Tekken.
I'm just trying to rifle these names out. It's just, I think the thinking is, and I might be stretching here because I haven't fully thought this thought out, so you guys can rip up this premise, is that if they shift to that, which I agree, Dom, would be better now, it would be very difficult, or we would have to have some sort of structure that would allow that to change based off of future results for the smaller teams. Otherwise, it just gets super top heavy where it's just, okay, now it's NA EU seeds are like third, pool 3. Pool 3 is just the West. Pool 2 is just all that there, and there's never an opportunity for them to find success.
I mean, until NA, I mean, no. I mean, your success, like if you are actually better, then it could be, yeah. I mean, it could be extremely easy. I mean, it is a Swiss format, right? So like that would just be for the first round, and then after that, if you like
ramp up,
you lose a pool 2 team, then you're just going to be playing. Your second round is going to be the 0-1. If you're playing in the 0-1, then you're playing against like what would be the equivalent of like Mad, Gam, Pain, PSG this time, and you can work your way up from there. Like I don't think the pooling matters that much because it's only really like the first game,
the first series.
Yeah, the first series that it decides, or the first, it's a BO1, right? So it's the first game that it decides. So I don't know. I mean, the problem that I think is like I have not seen, like EU has not consistently outplaced the fourth best Korean team. Like they haven't consistently outplaced the fourth best Korean team in recent times. So like that's the issue that you run into, is that the 4 seeds from Asia, like the 4th seed from China last year, which is Weibo, just like 3-0'd the best seed from NA.
Mm-hmm.
Like are they? I mean, they could just be better, right? The top 4 teams from LPL could just be better than all the NA teams. That's just like the reality of the world.
Yeah.
But also, I'm kind of a purist when it comes to League of Legends, where I just care about like the best teams going. So I'm down to like remove NA seeds. I am down to like add more Korean teams, add more Chinese teams, remove NA seeds. Like I'm down for like all
we'd have
that
to
type
add
of shit.
KT this year, and I really didn't want to watch more KT.
I mean, I would rather have KT than 100 Thieves in the tournament.
Nah, 100 Thieves provided me more entertainment than KT would have.
I would rather have KT in the tournament. Like I would just rather the best teams in the world go to the tournament. That's just what I care about,
Okay, I love it. I love it.
JDG go there. Like I'm down.
Monty's like, what's more entertainment? Dom's like, what's more purist league? I'm like, what would have got more eyes? KT would have gotten more eyes. Send me Pyoshik and Deft and BDD, and that's like KT fandom here in Korea is just crazy. It is crazy. It would have been more eyes than, I don't know. NA was going to watch FlyQuest and Team Liquid. Like those fans would have showed up, so anyways, either way. All right. So let's dive back into these.
I also love about these draws, like we get to see just the massive imbalance that you get. Like FlyQuest gets to play GAM, but TL has to play LNG, right? Genji somehow, gets to play the runner up to Summer in LPL. So we get both second place teams in Asia play each other. What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Pain game.
I mean, it's going to be a good game, but I would rather one of those teams not start out going 0-1 in this tournament.
I mean, that should be like the second game. That's what I think. Like that should be the second game of the tournament,
exactly.
as opposed to the first. The first should be like, can any of the Western, like this is what I want to see. I want to see the number one, the teams that are clearly good. So like the BLG, Top Esports, Genji, Honor Life. I want to see them just get like essentially a free buy and just stomp a shit team, right?
Yep.
And then I want to see like the Western teams contend versus a bottom tier Asian team. I want to see the third, fourth Asian seed versus the top 2 American and North American and European seed, and see if they're better. Are the 1 seeds consistently better from the West than the 3-4 seeds from the East? I think that would be like a more balanced way to do it at this point, because we've just seen so much Asian dominance in this game.
Yeah, and it's been consistent. Like the upsets don't really happen. Again, Pain Gaming, please prove us wrong. That would be great for everyone except G2, or maybe do it in the second round. Like I want to see G2 win. I want to see G2 go far. But like, until that happens, because it just never does, then, let's make these changes. All right, let's go through these matches specifically. We don't want to spend a ton of time on them unless, we really want to dig in. Starting from the top, BLG and Mad Lions Koi. We just saw Mad Lions. BLG. They're pretty...
Yep.
they're
BLG.
best team in the world.
I mean, BLG is like
I was
Obviously.
really, dGon, I was really hoping that when World started, I was deeply, deeply hoping that I would get to watch the famous Frescowi versus Knight matchup. That's the matchup that is must see League of Legends.
I mean, to be fair though, like, I mean, at least it's a best of one. Like, Mad Lions is probably a decent best of one team. Like, they probably have a higher chance of winning a best of one than some other teams. So we'll take it. Like, I think that there's some teams, like, so for example, I think FlyQuest is a better team than Mad Lions, but I think that maybe Mad Lions has a higher chance of beating BLG in a best of one than FlyQuest does. Because I feel like FlyQuest is just going to play like standard league, and if you're better than them, like, fuck, like, we're just done,
Yeah.
Whereas maybe Mad Lions can make something happen.
Yeah. The Merwin versus Bin matchup. Yep, that's going to be.
I mean, PSG won 2 games against BLG at MSI. It's not impossible to do. Like, the thing about
That's true.
Chinese
That's a
teams,
good point.
the thing about Chinese teams, they're generally pretty loose, right? They're more loose than Korean teams. So I think that this is like for Mad Lions, out of the potential draws they had, I think it's since it's the second best draw they could have got, because the other draw that they had the opportunity of getting would have been FlyQuest. That would have been their best draw. And then they can't draw the same region, and if they draw Genji, they're just gonna get, or they draw Hanwha Life, they're just gonna get murked. So like, I think that playing versus BLG, at least it's like this, it's the middle road. It's gonna be hard. I mean, you're not expected to win, but who knows? Maybe BLG randomly ends the game. BLG was famous for dropping game ones in LPL. They would really drop game ones like shit teams. They lose to shit teams sometimes, so who knows?
We won't spend too much more time on that one. Who are you most excited to see from BLG pop off on Mad Lions here, Dom?
I mean, Knight versus Frescowi is fucking crazy. Like, that is just unplayable for Fresco.
What a banger matchup.
I mean, like, the thing about Merwin is, like, he has to counterpick. He has to pull out some type of counterpick to Bin. If he plays like Asante versus Renekton versus Bin, it's not happening, bro. He better pull out some fucking Zeri top versus Camille or some shit. He needs something like this.
I mean, the Nidalee went to Elyoya both games, and they did say in an interview somewhere that they haven't shown a lot of what they needed to yet because they weren't pushed. So
the thing is, like,
this will be the time.
I don't know if this is the time. I don't know if you actually, if it's a better pathing to show anything, or you just take the L. Like, yeah, I think that taking the L actually could be the better strategic play. And then, like, you use the picks in a match that's more meaningful. Look, I played the Dantes Invitational, right?
Yeah.
And in the Dantes Invitational, it was full fearless draft. And one of the mistakes we made is there was some games that were unwinnable based off, like, because it's a mixed ranked tournament, and like they have players that are rank 1 on the enemy team. And one of the mistakes we made is we tried to, like, bring out our firepower versus their best picks early on, where since it's full fearless, we should have sacked a couple games and then brought it out later on, and we would have had a higher chance to win. So I think that there is actually value in a Swiss format of saving your picks for a game that's more winnable, because maybe you can catch a team like TL off guard if TL loses LNG or something and you're in the 0-1. Maybe you could catch one of those teams off guard and actually get a more needed match win.
Wild. The Dantes tournament, better format for strategy than Worlds. Mad Lions going into the game with strategic loss on the mind. Let's move to the next game in the day. It's a rematch of the international event I got to host, EWC, Top Esports and T1. These two teams have done battle before. T1 coming in not like champs at all, even though they are the reigning world champs and international champs for EWC and all that stuff. They were shaky. They barely made it on in. Just to remind everyone, they had multiple opportunities to qualify. They go down to their final game, and all of us in the LEC studio are like, oh my God, they're not going to do it. And they do get in. That's the form that T1 was last in competitively that we got to see them in. Since then, they've done, like, a bunch of, like, world tour stuff here in Korea, and doing all the publicity stuff that they need to do to sign the contracts and get paid, and up against Top Esports here. How do you see this one kicking off here, Monty?
look, at least Faker is going to be able to play Orianna again, so that's a big W for the old T1. But the problem really with T1, sure, the meta was a problem, but also like their synergy was just bad. So that having champions that they are better at individually will help, but will it help them enough to actually figure out how to team fight again? That's the next question. Because I think that was probably the more glaring of their issues, was the mistakes they were making in communication on engages, how they were going to use their abilities in team fights. Like, it was just the synergy was bad. So, Top Esports certainly, I think we can all agree, probably should have been the second place team in China, especially with the run that they were on towards the end of the LPL in the summer regular season. So they disappointed also. But I think, like, a lot of the champions that Cream is good at are still going to be, like, Yone is still going to be in the meta. You know what I mean? So Yone is probably going to be a very high, I mean, it has been a high priority pick in general, but especially between these two teams, it'll be Zeus playing in the top lane for T1 potentially. But I favor Top Esports here. Like T1 has a high ceiling, but they need to show me that they are actually playing at that level again. That's the problem.
I think it's a best of one, so it's so fucking hard to tell. I think, I don't believe in Top Esports, but T1 has been worse recently than Top. I feel like T1 really lost the plot there for a while. I think one of the things for T1 is going to be, will the removal, or will the lower in the lower in priority with of the 80 mids, is that going to actually allow them to play the game again mid lane? Because I feel like Faker, if he's able to just sit there and play Talia and Syndra and Orianna, whatever. I mean, his Orianna was really good last Worlds. I think the team could be significantly stronger. I mean, they're literally always playing with their mid lane having no pressure, essentially, domestically. So, LeBlanc is something else that we saw him pull out in playoffs, which should be better based off what people are picking now. Ari is seeing play again. That's another Faker champion that he can play. So maybe that will suit them better, having things like Viego for owner, Jarvan for owner. His Vi was always good. Maybe playing more of the Bruiser jungle style with AP mids will be better for T1 than it will be for Top.
Yeah. To be fair to T1, when they were in scenarios in summer when they could be in mage versus mage matchups, which they opted into, versus KT, Faker did look better.
Yep. But I mean, I think the question is so Azir is going to be gone probably.
Yep.
We haven't seen any Azir. Maybe people still play it, but it did get nerfed pretty significantly. So we'll see if Faker is willing to play that, but that was his main mage mid laner. That seemed like that was the one that he wanted to play more than anything else.
Yep. Otherwise, he was Corki, Tristana, Merchant, pulled out the Nasus the one time. Well, did not look good on Yone. I think that's the key pick for me. Is T1 going to ban that? Has Faker played it? Because he didn't look good on it during LCK. We remember distinctly, we watched one replay 3 times where he ults into the wall for nothing, and it seems like that's going to be a priority pick that allows you to play the AP style, whether from top or jungle or wherever they want to play, or Ziggs, wherever they end up wanting to play that. So yeah, going to be an interesting one. Again, just a reminder, 3-1 was the score. And T1 did win the first game. Again, it was months ago, different patch, all that stuff. But a little bit of history there for T1 against Top Esports. What is your most exciting matchup in that one, in the 1v1 here, Dom? And then Mati. Or Lane, I guess.
I mean, I would normally say probably bot lane here is what I want to see. 369 versus Zeus has generally been Zeus favored historically, because I feel just the way that Zeus is one of the few players, there's a handful of players that can actually lane to the point where 369 cannot just even farm with bad matchups. It's him, it's pretty much just Zeus and Bin, and that's pretty much it for the most part.
3.
So I think that for this matchup I want to see how bot lane goes, because Keria has been pretty bad on engage supports, I would say. Feels like Keria's value comes from counter picking. If he's on red side, then he can get some really good picks. He can get a good Bard game potentially, or for example, his Poppy support I think was pretty good. But in standard 2v2s versus engage versus engage, I just think that Mako is much better at that. So I think because I think T1's on red side, maybe that ends up being good for them overall.
Monty?
I like the top lane matchup, but you never know. Maybe we'll see some Caitlyn Lux out of Guma and Keria.
Yeah, just let them go at it. The Jackie Love Guma thing just seems too good to pass on up.
Jackie's Draven comes back out.
Whew. Yeah. We'll see how that one goes. All right, next up, another banger. Goodness gracious, you just want to be up at the beginning of the day if you want to see some of the best matches. Genji and Weibo. That'll be the third match of the day. Is this the closest? Is this the closest match, do you think? Or is it T1 and top?
I'm not sure. I mean, I would think T1 top would be closer because I think Genji should be able to beat a team like Weibo. But this should be a decent match. I mean, the thing that is interesting is that Weibo has pretty good early games. They set up like pretty decent bot dives. They have good early game planning and pathing. And I feel like that is like the weakest part about Genji's game in recent times. So I feel like this is a situation that might be close. Even though Genji is better, I think it's kind of like a stylistic mismatch for them and how Genji's generally been playing now. So I guess that would be interesting to see how they deal with Weibo's like early aggression and stuff like this. Also, when you think about the type of player that Breathe is, a player like Keen does not exploit what Breathe is bad at enough to like give you some big advantage there. So I think that maybe like Weibo is just able to play a more solid game than expected.
Monty?
I think the big question mark with Gen G is like, are they going to take this match seriously? Because I think that they have underprepared for opponents in matches in the past. And also, even though they have giant champion pools, they don't always have the best meta reads at the start of things. So I don't think it's impossible like that Weibo wins this. Gen G might just do weird shit at the start of this tournament. I don't think it's going to diminish their chance to get out of this, the Swiss stage and then win Worlds, but it might be a little bit rough at first for them.
Yeah, for either team. I mean, they are pretty dominant and will be able to bounce back. Again, just one of the unfortunate truths of this Swiss stage, these two playing this early on. Lane to lane, where are we looking at? I think to me, you have to look at jungle, right? I mean, these are two of the best junglers in the world, I would say. Like Canyon definitely, and Tarzan has peaks to be that high and peaked in playoffs, except in the finals when he fell down, and then that was just foreshadowing for how that finals is going to go. What do you think here, Dom?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the best matchup. I mean, Tarzan was like, if you take away the summer placements where he played terribly, I think he was just like the MVP of LPL. He was insanely good, but he has historically underperformed at World. So we'll see how it goes. But I think Tarzan versus Canyon is actually just such a fucking banger. Like that is just the matchup here.
Yep.
All right. Moving on. Fnatic and D+. Monty, it's your time to shine. Let the chaos come
I love
through.
this matchup. Like, this is one of the ones that I really wanted to appear at some point in this tournament because both of these teams are just fucking incompetent at getting objectives.
They're just European and Korean versions of themselves. They're literally just the same team.
Will this
Korean,
game
so the
go
Korean
on forever? Yeah. How many Elder Dragons and Barons will be taken? Who can know? If I didn't do pick'ems, but if I had done pick'ems, I would be concerned about the longest game time pick'em as a result of seeing this matchup. But it should be funny at the very least. Like, this should be a really entertaining game. I look forward to 6-item aiming. It'll be fun.
Yep. Look, they're the same team, but one of them is Korean, so I'm going with the Korean version. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, I think when you look at matchups here, again, as that seems
aiming versus Noah, let's fucking go.
Yeah. I feel like this is definitely a humanoid showmaker kind of like battle, because these guys aren't afraid of talking smack and have talked smack and gotten smacked this year, and now is an opportunity for them to step up.
the question is, who will play Ezreal and E into the enemy? Is it Noah or is it aiming? You don't know the answer to that question, and neither do I.
True. I think it's Noah. If I had to guess, it's probably just Noah.
Is that the lane? What lane are you looking at here, Dom?
For this matchup, I'm kind of looking at Razork versus Lucid because I feel like that's probably the closest one. Like, I think Razork is the type of player that can run an early game, and Lucid is good at what he does. He's solid, but he has shown like games where he does make a pathing error or something, and he can get behind. So I think that's probably the point that the game will be like won and lost by when I'm trying to look at both teams.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's a really good point. Lucid's glow up has been pretty great. That's Cronny's boy now on the international stage. We'll see if he's be able to hold up against perennial, I guess, world's attendee in Razork. Moving on. Now in the back half of the 8 games of the day, it's a North American hope. One of them. Team Liquid against LNG. We touched on it a little bit earlier. This comes down to what? How do Team Liquid win this? El Dominico, LPL expert. You watched their matches. How can NA do this?
So I think that the thing about LNG is they don't play well from behind. Like if TL has one of their creative swaps where they do something that LNG doesn't expect and they end up in a decent situation where they have like a level up on their top lane or something like this, LNG really struggles with being able to come back into games. I think there's some things you need to worry about with LNG. I mean, there's a lot of things you need to worry about. One of them is how well they take turrets. They play a lot of like really like aggressive comps where they'll have like Tristana, Ziggs. Obviously, both these champions are nerfed, but if they're still willing to play styles like this, I feel like it could be a problem for TL where TL just might end up getting behind. And then Zika's champion pool is something that you need to always consider. So it is scary to pick a lot of times into him because he's willing to play things like Ryze, for example. He can play Gwen. He can play all the matchups, like all the Renekton matchups. He can play the standard matchups as well. But in terms of just like pure champion pool, I feel like Zika's is the biggest. And that's something that TL needs to worry about. I feel like TL just needs to have a good, solid early game plan. If they have a good, solid early game plan, a team like LNG falls apart. Also, for LNG, I would say the weakness of the team is their support jungle. I think Weiwei and Hong are just kind of whatever. And this is something that I feel like TL could really exploit if they have some like good like movements with support jungle around their mid later. They could make it a easier game for their team if APA somehow gets ahead based off support jungle interaction with his lane.
How do we draft? How do we make LNG draft a matchup for Umti's Lee Sin that makes him comfortable and he gets to play Lee Sin? That's what I want to see because
pretty
again,
much. So Lee Sin is like the answer, right? Like so the matchups that people will play Lee Sin into is pretty much just like Jarvan. That's what people are looking for to play Lee Sin. You can play it into something like Ivern if Ivern is picked. But I think that out of the matchups that we will be seeing, like the champions we will be seeing, you definitely don't want to play Lee into Skarner. It's like one of Lee's worst matchups. You play Lee into like bruisers, essentially. But like it has to be a certain type of bruiser. It can't be a bruiser like Udyr or Rek'Sai that has so much innate sustain. It has to be something where you can outplay like their skill shot. And that's pretty much right now, it's only Jarvan. You can also play it into Xin, potentially, but it's like it's not a matchup where you directly win. You have to be able to play it with a good Lee Sin like combo mid. So you want to be playing things like Syndra Lee Sin or LeBlanc Lee Sin. Like this is how you really get the most out of the champions. But in terms of what's meta right now, after from what we've been seeing, you pretty much would be hoping for Weiwei to pick Jarvan.
Okay. Monty, this matchup here, TL and LNG. How do you?
If TL wins, it's because of Spawn and their early game plan. I agree with them. So this is all about coaching edge and players following a script. I think in the early game, probably in a lane swap, right? And that's how TL actually comes out with this one. LNG is clearly like pound for pound, player for player, the better team. Like the difference between APA And Yon compared to Scout and Gala is fucking enormous. So you can't win straight up like that.
Sorry, APA. Unlucky.
I don't know. I think it depends on matchup. Like, I'm not super sold on Scout. I feel like he had a pretty bad LPL. Like, he was really good on Yone. And then off Yone, it just looked like Scout afterwards. So I think it really just depends on what form
We also just
Scout
don't
is
know
in.
how much practice he's been able to get either with his team. So
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that APA held up pretty well internationally versus, I mean, Faker. You know, like when we saw him against Faker. I mean, is Scout better than Faker right now? Probably, but I haven't been like super sold on Scout recently. I feel like he's probably the most vulnerable he's ever looked going internationally. If you compare him to last year where he looked insane, like it's nowhere close to that, or 2022 when he was coming off his world championship the previous year. I think this is definitely the weakest we've seen Scout go international in years.
Yeah, it just to Monty's point, not detracting your point, but to Monty's point, it just feels like what we kept showing on the LCK broadcast, which was here's all the accolades of Chovy, and here's one championship boy of Zeka.
And who
one
won?
world championship boy of Zeka.
And fucking who won, man?
So yeah, I know it's a long thing. Where are we looking at the most is the most important way. Lane, like, you know, I know you said it's prep, and I believe that. I think everyone kind of knows that, and everyone will give this coaching staff Spawn their flowers, but who needs to perform?
I think it's jungle. I think has just had so many tragic games internationally that like he is playing against one of the weakest points of the enemy team, right? Like, so he needs to actually be good in this game. He can't just be running it down and hoping everyone carries him. That will not work in the series.
Monty?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Now, Dom, for this next one, it's Hanwha Life, Esports, and PSG. Dom, you're my boy. I've been riding along with you for a long time, across multiple different shows and all that stuff. This is one of the few times where I'm going to like directly address this. Your boy in the top lane for LNG, Zika. Hanwha Life Esports World Championship mid lane, the Zeka. Zika,
Nope.
Zeka.
Nope.
Okay,
They're both Zika. Like, look, the thing is, what I don't understand about LCK fans is because LCK fans, they just didn't watch LPL. But if you go back to watch 2021 and 2020, when Zika was in the LPL, I mean, if you can't figure out based off context, then that's a you problem.
I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know which one. I didn't know which one that time. Yeah.
Really? When I said
Now
when
I
he
know.
was, well, no. If I say when he was in the LPL, why would I ever be talking about the Zika that has come up in the last couple of years? If I said when he was, I wouldn't be speaking in the past tense if I was speaking about somebody who was currently in the LPL. So what I don't understand is Zika was called Zika on broadcast for years. Like everyone just called him Zika, and then when he moved to the LCK, they're just like, actually, we're just renaming him. It's like, did he change his name? No, his name is still the same. It's still spelled the same, but we're just gonna call him something different than he's been called all points of his career up until now. To me, it's like, okay, so you've had players have the same name before. I don't know why it's suddenly a problem when it's Zika. Like, you know, based on the context, which one you're talking about. You're talking about a top laner, you're talking about a mid laner. What are you saying? No one said, oh, we can't call Keen in LCK because there's a Keen who had his name before. In LCS, we had Keen, Keane. We had that guy in the LCS where no one's like, no, we can't talk about Keen anymore. Which Keen are we talking about? Like, we never had that fucking conversation. So why do we have to have that conversation now? Obviously, if you're talking about a top laner and you're like, from context, you know which one you're talking about. Players have the same name all the fucking time. So, like, why does this one matter? That's my question.
Because the fan signs spell it out with Hangul phonetically. Zeka. Jekka is actually how they would say it.
Okay.
That is
but
why
you see,
also
it's the fans who are wrong.
But so if that's the case, then why do we pronounce other player names where, like, you have Korean player names where the name is in English, but they don't pronounce it in English, right? Like, Like we have, like, for example, everyone says Zeus except for me. I'm the one that says Zeus because it is God Thunder. Like that is his name. Like he is naming himself after Zeus, the Greek god. But why don't we just do that with like all, like, why don't we call like Faker like Paker or something like that? Like
Because there isn't another player whose name is similar or the same as the other one. That's why your Keen versus Keen one is a very good argument against. I agree.
The problem with Keen is that his real name is Keen. That's why it's Keen, right? His real first name is Keen.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
I just like, I think it's super
I didn't even
weird.
know
Then we should call the guy that's new. Like what I found really weird is we called Zika for years, right? Like Zika, the LCK Zika right now, we called him Zika for years. How come when he goes back to LCK, we change his name and then like the new like shouldn't this guy be like Zyka or something then? Should we call this guy Zyka and the other dude Zika? Also,
sure, I call one of them Zeka and I call the other one Zika. So
yeah. So maybe we got to call him Zika and Zika, but I don't, also like when I just read the name like Zeka, I always thought it would just be Zika. Like if I didn't know anything about them and I just saw Zeka, I would never say Zeka. Like in English, I would never say that.
Okay. I tried. I appreciate you as a brother, and these are brotherly arguments, and I'm not gonna win.
I just think it's so fucking weird that no one even addressed it. It's like, so why are we changing it? Like you realize that we did just have him play for years under that name in like on English broadcasts, but I guess people just don't watch like LPL English broadcasts, so it's not a big deal because the first time they ever heard about him, they're like, where did this rookie come from in LCK that won Worlds? Like that's what fucking people are thinking.
Yeah, that is probably what happened. They want to romanticize it, but okay, all right, we gave it a shot. All right, it's them. Zeka, no, not Zika. Zeka or Zika Play and Hanwha Life Esports, the champions of the LCK, playing up against PSG. Probably the hardest draw that they could have gotten out of the group stage teams, but still favored here. When you look at this matchup, what jumps out at you here, Monty?
Let's see here. So I guess I will probably be watching like the Peanut Jungia matchup because Jungia was pretty underwhelming, and Peanut is historically quite underwhelming at international events, but probably not in the Swiss stage. Peanut's more of a razor cake where he waits to hurt you until later. And so I think Peanut will be able to hold it together. The other one that I think is pretty exciting is Zeka Maple, because Zeka, if you want, it's good, I think, for Zeka that obviously the Yone is still very high priority and like the Akali has come back a little bit. So it feels like the mid lane meta is actually going to be quite interesting. And there's kind of something for a variety of different play styles at this tournament, whereas Maple has always leaned more into the control mages. So that I think that could be a potentially like super fun matchup as well. But I think Hanwha should easily bop them.
Dom, I mean, we saw this team here. What any way in for PSG?
I don't think so. I think Hanwha Life is essentially better across the board. Like, and I feel like Peanut deals with players like Jungia super well. Like Jungia might as well just be like a player like Owner, you know, where if you just like Jungia just wants to get strong himself. He wants to have items. He doesn't want to have to play the game of, okay, like you're going to invade me here. I have to give this camp. I'll like cross mech, take your crab. Then maybe I take your Gromp because you have no time. Like he doesn't want to play that game where he's running all over the place and he's trying to match somebody else's pathing. He just wants to full clear, be a beast, get his items, and then carry because he has better mechanics. I don't think Peanut lets people do that. So I think Hanwha Life just clear win across the board. I mean, I think the matchup that I would watch, like the matchup I'm interested in, is I guess Doran versus Ajay, because I think that's like probably the closest one out of all the players. But I still think Doran is better than him. Like maybe Ajay can find some type of interesting pick, but I don't know. Like Doran is one of those players where like I fucking hate watching Doran too, but he is good. He is good. He's just like he just does things that are fucking good horrible.
Enough.
I mean, he is kind of good enough. Like, he just has like the thing about him is that he will have the complete like the biggest eyesore of a game ever. He'll have that game 3 Camille where you're just like where you get mad at him. You're like, fuck you, Doran. fuck you for making me watch that shit. Like, you actually get angry watching it. Whereas other people have a bad game and you're like, yeah, he's just not having a good one. You know, like if Zika plays bad or if Viper plays
I forgot
bad, you're
about
just like,
that Camille game.
yeah. Oh, I think about it every day. I've literally thought about that Camille every single day since it's happened. I think about all the different moments, like the first E that he fails, like over the wall where he dies at level 6, the fucking play mid. Like, I just think about it every fucking day. This shit traumatizes me. This is why I can't sleep at night.
I just don't let it happen in this series, Doran. Actually, just this is supposed to be the worlds where Doran can beat the allegations. If Hanwha Life lose, like, and get knocked out somewhere, just don't make it your fault, man. Make it, I don't
It'll
know.
be Peanut's fault again. Don't worry.
Yeah, make it Peanut's fault. You have
No,
somebody to
I
take
want
the blame.
I want Peanut to win Worlds. That's my. I love Peanut, man.
7
I don't want him to win worlds.
7
I would much
LCK
rather,
titles.
Like, I'd
1
much rather have
MSI.
I'd much rather have Chovy win worlds than Peanut. Like,
Sure.
like there's tier, like, only one person can win worlds, and like my priority is, like, I need Knight to get a worlds, and Bin to get a worlds, and I need Chovy to get a worlds. Like, I need these players to start getting the world, because for me, selfishly, the only thing that people care when you have any of these discussions is how many world championships somebody has won. Like, that is like the only thing that people decide League of Legends skill based on. Here's something.
I love that people have just moved the goalposts on Chovy, by the way. They're like, Chovy international choker. Is like, yeah, but he's the reigning MSI champion. Chovy world's choker. It's like, come on, dude. Like,
I mean, like, I don't know. It's one of those things. So here's something. Like, Casual essentially has like the biggest community of just like normal esports watchers, right? Like, every other League streamer is gonna have more niche communities because he just appeals to the most people. He has the most viewers, right? So there's a post in his Twitter community that was a discussion on who is the player of the 2020s, because the 2010s is definitely Faker. I mean, Faker is like the GOAT of the game, right? 2020s, who's the GOAT of the 2020s? Who's the best player of the 2020s? I want both of you to guess. Okay, that's your guess. dGon, what's your guess?
That's not my guess. That's who it is.
No, it's a guess.
I was gonna say Canyon, but
Yeah, okay. These are names that could be out there, like Chovy, Canyon. Like, people could even say like Knight. You could have all these types of players, right? Like, even Showmaker for his first couple of years. Like, maybe he could be in the conversation. They decided it was Beryl.
No!
The most upvoted one was Beryl.
No, because he was in the 3 back-to-back worlds,
And he won too.
And he won
So
2
he's
of
the
them.
best. Can you imagine,
my
like,
God.
can you
That's
imagine
so
if we
embarrassing.
actually, it's like the quid MVP thing. Imagine if people actually treated Beryl as if he was the player of the 2020s. And then every time he had like one of these games, you're like, what the fuck is happening? What is he doing? Like, what the fuck? Like, he's supposed to be the best player. Like, no one actually believes it, but then people just say this shit.
You know, Dom, what we should test is that we should test if they say the number 2 player of the 2010s was Bengi. Then we'll know that they're really just mentally deficient.
You mean the 2010s? Oh,
yeah. If the second best player of the 2010s they decide is Bengi, then we'll know that there's just something deeply wrong with these people.
Yeah. No, but I mean, that's actually how people think. Like, people tell me that one of the things that I've had to fight, and I've fought this for literally no reason. Like, it's just, people will say you're getting one guide, but you can tell when you stream enough, like, prevailing sentiment, right? Like, of your chat, like, when enough people have a take, that it's something you actually need to address. It's me trying to argue,
destroy it in their minds.
Yeah. So when I say that, so for me, I say Mako is the GOAT support. He's the greatest support of all time, and he has the peak MSI championship, MSI championship, multiple domestic championships. He's been good on multiple teams. You saw him play like on different version of an EDG team, essentially just a new team, be a shot caller, like make a team that's not good look good through his shot calling, joins top esports, is like makes it like he's the main voice on the team. He's won every single thing that you can win. And he's insane longevity. And people tell me that Beryl is a better all-time player than Mako. It's like, I don't even know how you can get to that argument. Like, the thing is, when people say Beryl is the best player of the 2020s, so what happened in 2023? Like, what was 2023 Beryl when he's on this horrible DRX team? He just gets zero criticism for that if he is the best player of the 2020s. Can you imagine if Chovy, like, obviously it's a different role, but can you imagine if Mako was on like the 16th best team in the LPL? like what that would do. Like people would be like, God damn, this guy fucking sucks. Like that would be like some wink territory. But for Beryl, it was like acceptable. I don't know. It's like
Yeah,
it's
sorry, Mako. Two world championships to one Dom. So yeah,
Yep.
that was the
That's
goat.
literally it. That's literally the only discussion. That's what tells me
Also,
like how worlds pilled
What
people are.
say is that they're like, oh, but Beryl play Genshin Impact, lol, he cute boy, and then they just give him a pass.
Yeah, they're like imagine like he plays a game less than like or he plays a game more than League and he's still this good at League. That shows how great he truly is. Like that's not an argument for you. That's like an argument against you being the GOAT. It's like, yeah, maybe you should play more League and then he wouldn't have been like, missing worlds 2 years in a row. But you know what? It's fine.
It's fine.
It's not fine. It's not fine at all. And I'll just say it's fine.
Well, no, I wasn't gonna go there. I'm gonna get in trouble. I was gonna get in trouble. Fuck it. Well, maybe he'll get to play with Berserker next year, and Berserker will take him to the promised land. All right, sorry, Cloud9 fans. Big sad. We'll see. All right, let's move on to, speaking of North America, a team that gets to play at Worlds, FlyQuest, and their match against GAM Esports. Again, I am enjoying becoming a fan of GAM, but not here.
Do you believe that Kiaya gaps Bwipo? That's the most important question. He was good. He was good in plans.
Just ban Aurora, please. Just ban Aurora. That's it.
I can see Bwipo just saying, "Oh no, I have a pick in it." You can see him kind of echoing that and just being like, "No, I have something for that. This guy's a shitter. I can do it."
Yep.
And just that could get him in trouble there.
The thing is, imagine what the Reddit thread would look like if Bwipo gets shit on by Kiaya and
I don't want
FlyQuest
to.
lose. Like that would be just so insane. It would be some people are preying on this guy's downfall.
That's like 1 to 2 own separate pieces of content for you there, Dom. If that happens, if the FlyQuest lost and then the Reddit reacts afterwards.
Yep.
We do. I'm still saying we. FlyQuest does. Nah, it's my MVP. We do isolate their best player with Inspired against Levi. But how should FlyQuest play? How do you want to see FlyQuest play here, Monty, as they go in against a team that they should beat, a rarity at Worlds?
Come in with a strong early game plan. I feel like FlyQuest's best games are when they can do things in the early game, either at level 1 or playing to a strong side of the map where they can get Inspired ahead and just like let Inspired roll and not fuck up in the side lane. So no stupid deaths from Masu or Busio or Bwipo. None of that fucking nonsense that we've seen from them in the past. Please, Bwipo, can you just play weak side? Do not take an all-in. Just no all-ins allowed. And then maybe Inspired can actually lead this team over the hump, right? Like, we know that what FlyQuest is capable of when they're not randomly throwing in their sidelines. Quad has been really good. He's been a great addition to this team. He actually has really good synergy with Masu. Masu should be set up for success here. Like, let Masu just fucking play Ashe. His Ashe was really good in the summer playoffs. He could play some other like utility engage. Like Jhin is probably going to be good for him right now. So let's just do that. Let Quad and Inspired carry. Masu, you work on the setup. Don't do anything stupid in lane, Bwipo, and then maybe we can just pull out a win here.
Dom, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I think that they just need to understand where GAM is strong. It seems like GAM is actually the opposite of how most people perceive Vietnamese teams, where they're like, they just fight all the time. It actually feels like they're not like that at all. They are playing these consistent games that are mainly focused on Levi farming and getting to like a useful point. Like he's playing a lot of high econ characters like Wukong, Shyvana. I say you probably just ban Shyvana. Just play a solid, consistent game. Maybe you drop jungle, pick a little bit early, pick something like an Ashe. Just play strong, consistent lanes. Play things like Renekton for Bwipo. He can play Cassante if he needs to. This is a team that you'll just beat if you just play standard. And I think that they have some pretty big weaknesses. Like I think Easy Love is just not good. I think Easy Love is actually a big liability on this team. So as long as you're like not letting Levi take over the game, I think you should be fine. I don't think that they have the skill to play later on, especially with champions like, for example, Yone most likely being removed. Like I assume they're just going to ban Yone, Shyvana, these types of picks that we've seen them play really well. I feel like this should be very good for FlyQuest.
All right, come on, FlyQuest, do it, please. I can't.
Please.
I can't. We can't take
Right,
another.
I have
another
faith
one.
in Liquid and FlyQuest in this event. I think one of them will make quarters.
Whoa, ooh, that's big. That's brave. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, it helps that FlyQuest playing against Gam first. That really, really helps that prediction.
Sure. Do you think one of the two, Dom?
Wait, what was the prediction again?
That either FlyQuest or Team will make quarters. I think one of them will make quarters.
It's like so dependent on draw, no?
Yeah.
And what happens with other matches?
There's always going to be some fucking wackiness, and one of these teams can just NRG it and like literally not beat an Asian team and then just make it into quarters.
Sure, I would bet on that. I wonder what the actual odds are.
I don't know. I'm trying to find my NRG jersey, but or NEG, like whatever I had, but we'll see. Yeah. I want to get, the super thing is pretty cool. Everyone just says that. Can we just say like Inspired's full name? It's Casper Swarma. You say it with the W.
That's actually not a lot of syllables for a Polish name.
I know. Swarma. It's an L with the slash, and so I put it in like the Polish translator, and it goes Swarma. Like, okay, hopefully I'm right.
All right. Now we can't. Right. It just has to be super.
Yeah, that one's too good. All right, and then finally, we have friends of the show that watch the show here a lot, and it is the G2 entities. And they messaged me on Twitter earlier and said, hey, dGon, we want to send you a jersey. We can send you a jersey. And I was like, in Korea? And they're like, yeah. Give us your address. And that's what they did. They sent me a little small figurine jersey.
Nice.
That's funny.
But it is pretty awesome. So
wait, they said they were sending me a jersey as well. Are they actually fucking sending this?
Yeah,
is this what I'm getting to?
Looks like that's what you're getting to. Thank you.
They sent me an actual jersey last time. What the fuck? I like their jersey.
Well, maybe you get the jersey because you're in, the West, and I get the package that's easy to get to since where is it made? I'm not going to read that. Just kidding. All right, let's get into it. Final match, G2 Pain Gaming. Welcome to the Swiss stage, Pain Gaming. And
this is great for G2, right? This is perfect. This is the perfect matchup.
I'm a little bit nervous for G2.
Oh,
I'm a little bit nervous for them.
Booms like Alliance. Is that what you think?
I mean, no, it's just that like, okay, so the way that they do win games should be good against PSG because PSG seems to suffer macro-wise. But like G2 just, I feel like because of the way that their early game has been, they could kind of just lose to anyone. I just have that feeling where it's like they could kind of just lose to anyone. But
here's the thing, G2 can always come back against anyone too. Like they can play really well from behind, even, if they get into that hole, they are one of the teams that I'm most confident about their ability to dig themselves back out, especially against a team like Pain.
Who liked very long, crazy festivals of games. See, I said festivals. So they didn't close it out clean. G2 can come back from that. I agree with Monty, but this is also why, Monty, I was pushing back on one of the two NA teams making it out. It's because this G2 team, they've had the whole year to think about it and iterate on it and work on it. They had EWC to like doof around with. They got close over at MSI. At top lane, some big names, and now they're ready. They're primed to make it out into quarters. Like I think it's G2 that takes.
Well, there are certain things that really help G2. One of which is that Zeri has vanished, and Zeri, like the ability to play Zeri was like a pretty big fucking problem for them. That was one of the reasons why they were getting the runaround and draft from Mad Lions in the season finals when they first met, and the fact that like Hansama like hasn't really played this champion in the last couple of years very much. But now, we've seen some Kalista games, but like Varus, Ashe, these are going to be really good picks. Jinx, obviously, for Hansama is going to be really good. So I feel like the bot lane should be somewhat rejuvenated. They're going to have their weird picks. we can't forget that G2 often is one of the biggest meta disruptors and forces other people to adapt to their picks at this tournament. Last Worlds, it was Lissandra into Rakan, right? Then it was fucking Halo Blades Poppy support. You know, they do weird things and they figure out things and they're unafraid to try them and they have the players who can execute them. Also, their level 1s are really good typically in international competition. So I'm looking at this. I think G2 makes quarters. You know what I mean? Like, it would be very hard for them to make quarters, especially with how good this draw is for them and, you know, the ability to go 1-0. So I'm feeling pretty good about G2 overall.
I hope they do well.
That feels like you just called 2 teams from the West making it to quarterfinals, Monty.
Yep.
That feels like chaos. That feels like
No.
chaos
I mean,
against
look,
this thing, no?
I mean, I think the LPL teams are much worse than they were last year. I think people have like the interpretation of
Like, do you think, like, also the Korean teams, like T1 could absolutely face plant at this event, right? Their ceiling
I
is
think
very
they'll be
high.
fine. I think Dom1's the team that I'm worried about.
I was
think
gonna say,
Dom1
like D plus and T1 are not as good as people think they are.
I think T1 is a big step down from the top 2 teams and then D plus. I think D plus is comfortable enough like that they make it to quarters. I don't know about
I don't know. I feel like
T1.
their ceiling's really low.
Yeah. It just, to me, it's about Kingen. It's like, what Kingen are you getting? Because Kingen was getting just absolutely like just railed in lane swaps and dove under tower like 3 or 4 times.
I think you're identifying the problem. If like your X factor is Kingen, you're probably not a very good team.
I guess.
Yeah. They rock up to Worlds. They're like, behold, my secret weapon, Kingen. And then nobody's afraid.
Andrew typed it out in the chat. I heard him laughing in our production, and now I need to shout it out. It's because he says, excuse me, that is World Finals MVP, Kingen. All right. Okay. So now that we've gone through all the games and we've talked about the expectations and where to watch and the focus, we've got apparently 2 teams making it through from the West, Monty, in one of TL and FlyQuest and G2. Which teams from the East don't make it, Dom? Least chance of making it.
The least chance of making it?
Yes. Pick 2.
From the East?
From the East.
I mean, I would just say Dom1 LNG.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Monty?
D plus Weibo.
Really? You guys are both like, I love T1. I want I love seeing T1 win.
It's a better meta for T1. T1 has a very high floor at international events. That's the thing.
Yeah. I mean, the
they
thing
always
is,
figure it out.
You also have to think about which teams are going to be strong enough, like mentality wise, to beat T1 in a best of 3. Like, who's gonna not get over? Like, I feel like the reason why some LCK teams can beat them is because they don't get overcome by like the T1 aura. They're willing to accept that T1 is just playing bad. But I mean, we saw it internationally at the last MSI, right? Like, G2 couldn't accept the free win from T1 when T1 was playing bad. TL couldn't accept it either. The Western teams just couldn't accept that T1 was playing bad. They're like, oh, that's Faker. He's a goat. Like, how could he be playing bad? It's like, no, just fucking shit on him, bro. Like, and then Umti is obviously like, Umti just was making sure that he keeps his Korean citizenship in that
Umti.
So, well, that's because T1 actually just pays for jungle plants in other teams like Kanavi, Tarzan, Umti. These are all double agents that are put out by the T1 organization.
And then they just say like one word in Korean and they just fucking turn on and sabotage the team.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see. I again, good T1 is good for broadcast. Good T1 gets a lot of hate watching from Dom. Good T1 is a lot of content for Monty. There you go. So we'll see which T1 shows up.
D plus is definitely not making it out of Swiss, though. Let's be clear about that. Those guys suck.
All right.
Wait, D plus? You actually? I don't know. I think they could.
I think they can. I think they can.
I think the meta is way better for Showmaker as well. I think that if you're able to play things like Syndra, That's a showmaker champion, right?
Also, I think there was a big shift in Kellen's wheelhouse, and they put in Moham, and now Moham solved a lot of the issues, and it allows aiming to play. And again, one of those teams that beat T1 was D+. That's why they're seed number 3. We'll see what happens. Let us know who you think makes it on out. How many teams from the West gets on out, and which teams from the East are the ones that have to pay for that? Again, last year was 3 LCK, 4 LPL, and the team that will live in our hearts forever, NRG. If you haven't seen it already, the 4 Horsemen covering NRG's exit, that was a really cool, like, just pretty
Got spicy.
quiet story. Yeah. Danon, former general manager of Golden Guardians and Cloud9, he replaced me because I sucked, is now sharing some spicy stuff behind the scenes on what's happening. If you're ever interested in, if you're like, you should spend X amount of dollars on a team and blah, 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 and really just don't think about how much money you're losing, they do a great job breaking it down on like how much things cost, what are priorities.
I hate Immortals because they ran a responsible business that made a profit. Ugh. You know who you should hate? Riot Games, who made it impossible to run a profitable business as a team in the way you guys want it to be run.
TSM and accepting crypto money to the point where it made Riot change all their rules and then inflate all the salaries. Like there is a lot. There's a lot there. But really good episode. So check that one out. The most recent 4 Horsemen here. Got two more things. Fake God. Speaking of TSM, Fake God has been let go by Shopify. So Fake God, it's been a great career. See you later.
Please don't come back.
Yep.
I didn't say that. But it's been you've been a great guy.
I was down for him to get this last year because it's like he was bad. Clearly he was like going through some stuff when it came to like self-confidence and stuff like that. And he wasn't horrible. He wasn't as horrible as he was this year.
Could have had revenge.
So like he came back and like he did win Academy and he did look like a level up on everyone else in Academy. So him getting another shot, it wasn't egregious, but he just doesn't have it, bro. Like he's just not built for pro play. It is what it is.
Yep. Sir TSR. Who knows? Maybe that's something that they could do. Papa Smithy wheeling and dealing.
You think he changes his name to RTY if he joins Shopify Rebellion?
RTY. Yeah. So
it'll just be Surdy.
That'd be pretty good. I like that move. Also, Team Liquid just dropped their pre-Worlds video. I liked it a lot. It was good. Liquid TV. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch that one as well. Pretty witty. They also poor tactical. Basically, all right, I'm just spoiling this a little bit because I don't know if you're gonna watch it, Monty, but they have like dGon go like as in like Avatar The Last Airbender, and he goes, wow, I'm in like the spirit realm where I talk to 80 carries, and tactical walks in and he goes, hey, 80 carry spirit master Jan, how can I help you? And Jan goes, is there anyone else I could talk to?
That's really funny.
And Tactical goes, bruh, and that was it. I as for all the things you could call Tactical, he's a real one.
That sounds like I'll watch that video after this. I also just like low key. This is the throwback. I love G2's like MSI China video. That shit was fucking hilarious.
Oh, that was good.
The kung fu, like the 80s style, like 70s style kung fu movie. Because I as a fan of that era of like 20th century kung fu movies was very happy about that.
Yeah,
because I thought they really like nailed the aesthetic and the look of it. And if you guys haven't, go watch the Once Upon a Time in China series from the 90s with Jet Li. It's awesome.
This is what Team Liquid just did with 90s kids that watch Nickelodeon. Like basically that's what this video is. So I like this now framing that the high production quality organizations are able to do, be like, let's capture the essence of blank. And then that's our Worlds video. So all right, y'all. Well, that does it. That wraps up a lot of our news here for Worlds. Thank you for hanging in there. A long episode, one of our longest ones in a long time. But Swiss Stage is here. It's the best time of the year. Worlds is kicking off. Make sure to like and subscribe this video. Watch Dom's co-stream. Watch Bangers Only with Monty. You can check out my tweets whenever. And then, yeah, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week for more Power Spike. See ya.